Morning, morning all. Morning, morning. Let's see who we got here. Morning, Roxanne. First, as always, thank you for my brooms. Felix Hospitales, morning, sir. Leonard Harris, morning to you. Daniela Williams, morning, Daniela. Rutrude, morning. Annette Beard, morning to you. Arlene Lewis, morning. Alberta Sampath, morning, Alberta. Neil Francois, always present, morning, sir. Gabriel Philip, good day to you. Rukmin Gangadeen, morning, Rukmin. Anna Sisnath, morning, Anna, joining us all the way out there from Canada. What's the weather like in Canada now, Anna? Althea, morning. Lennox Ramdani, morning, sir. Jackie Graham, Gilon Jackson, morning to you. Cyril Mayas, morning, sir. Terence Cummings, morning to you, sir. Karen Spooner, morning. Carol Boyce John, morning, Carol. Terence Lynch, morning, sir. Riri, morning. Hyacinth Richardson. John Keto, Antoinette Batiste, morning, guys. Dwayne Peters, morning, sir. Jennifer Nicholas, morning. Michelle Robinson. Leon Joseph, morning to you guys. Who do we have on Facebook? Diane Charles, morning, Diane. Ruth Fronton, morning. Phyllis Antoine, morning to you. Harold Lee, morning, sir. Marva James, morning. Istra Blake, morning, Istra. Emmeline Harvey, morning, Emmeline. Bernadette Yates, morning to you. Morning, Carol. Carol Myers. Carol, the weather by you is bipolar or sunny? Like the sun and rain can't decide who on my side, they can't decide which one wants to play today. Alison Boyce, morning. Merle Durant, morning, Merle. Christopher Coffey, morning, sir. Dawn Khan, morning, Dawn. Leon Graves, morning to you. Dexter Thwaites, morning. Christopher, right. Melka Rock, morning, Melka. Wilma Young, morning to you. Sarah Richards, morning. Claudius Alexander from Labre, morning, sir. All the way from down Labre side. Natalie F, morning. Deborah Duranty, morning to all of you. Get this thing here. John Edwards, morning to you, sir. Sun and rain on your side too, Carol. I hope when the rain prevails, the reservoirs could use it. They're just inching up bit by bit, but they say we can expect a wetter than normal start to the dry season next year, but I wouldn't hold out hope for that. Margaret Thomas, Marlon Blaze, morning to you. Andre Isaac, morning. BC Graham, morning. Claire Irish, morning, Claire. Donna Seeley, morning, Donna. So many things to talk about today, folks. But of course, first, let me extend condolences to the PNM family and by extension, the family of Nilium Hippolyte, the former member of Parliament for Laventil West, who I understand passed away yesterday. As we know, Mr. Hippolyte had been ailing for quite some time with a rare form of cancer. If memory serves me correctly, he was at the PNM's September affair, and he was acknowledged by one of the speakers on the night. So right down to the last, he was still very much involved with party affairs. And so, condolences to the PNM on Mr. Hippolyte's passing. Most unfortunate indeed. I know they did have a fundraising event for him not too long ago. Also, I believe condolences are in order for Miss Claudia Groom Duke, former assemblywoman in the Tobago House of Assembly, who also passed recently. Right, so PNM family certainly deserve condolences at this time. Also, let me also extend belated birthday greetings to Mr. Peter Clavery, who is one of our ardent listeners, my former Form 4 Dean at St. Mary's College, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. I didn't get how many years, but he looks well for his age, given the the number of years since he was my dean. So belated birthday greetings to you, sir, and I trust that it was well spent where you are at this point in time. David Clark, 29 Super C, morning to you. Margaret Thomas, Denise Bramble, morning. Winston Bachelor, good morning to you. Indeed, sometimes we could put aside the politics. Margaret Thomas, Winston Jones, and here comes the rain again. All right, I'm not complaining. Rebecca Lucas, morning. Nadia Lewis Dixon, Angela Carty, Glennis Phillips, morning to all of you guys. Andrea Ennis, morning, Andrea. So, where to start, boy? Where to start? All right, we'll go with that one. So, I played for you last week. Well, yes, last week, because it's a new week. When I asked you to crave your indulgence, and of course, you know, whenever I say that, who I played a clip of Enel Roberts in which he is seeking to make this, how I should put it, boy, this situation with Stuart Young that the media seems to be wedded to and simply don't want to let go of for some reason, despite the fact that Minister Young would have apologized on 2 occasions, one on his social media platforms and then in the parliament itself. Something that has met with you know, mixed reactions. I think there are some in the PNM who are upset that he apologized because they felt he should have held his ground, given the fact that the other side, when they say nasty things, whether inside or outside of the parliament, they make no apologies for it and they stand their ground, right? But you know, and then there are those who support. In fact, as I said last week, I think this has actually worked more in Mr. Young's favor than against it, because when you look at the support that he has gotten, not just from inside the PNM, but from outside as well, it shows that Minister Young has crossover appeal, which I think the party needs, because you can't just rely simply on your own supporters. Perhaps the PNM could do so more than the UNC, but we have to understand the UNC's desperation is going to become more heightened over the coming months, because where it is that more and more it seems as if the decision, Dr. Rowley's decision to go into retirement, seems all but made, it puts their leader into the spotlight with persons asking, so when is she going to do the same? Because, you know, all the time they say, no, they're politicians and them, they want to go nowhere and they like office and they like the thing, and Rowley's a dictator and all kind of nonsense, right? But here it is that he seems willing to walk away from perhaps the most coveted political office in the land, that of Prime Minister, which is a very powerful position. And it is evident based on Mrs. Seepersad seeming in, you know, this desire that she has, this seemingly insatiable desire to be Prime Minister once again, right? And so if Dr. Rowley can do that, even persons who don't like Dr. Rowley, who have issues with Dr. Rowley, you see some of them coming out now and saying, well, they tip their hat to the man, because he has demonstrated something that you don't often see, right? Because to the best of my knowledge, we have never had someone in that post walk away from the post, right? They would have demitted office as a result of having lost the election, and then losing leadership of their party by virtue of either stepping down or through an internal election. But to have a sitting Prime Minister, someone who can run for a 3rd term, and I'm not saying what Dr. Rowley hasn't said that, but it has been hinted, right? So we all know that. So, but the point that I'm making is that is unheard of, and it has earned Dr. Rowley some plaudits from persons who would normally ill-speak him, and that doesn't augur well for the UNC, and so it would only serve to put pressure on Prasad Bisesa to do likewise, because, I mean, if Dr. Rowley is Prime Minister and may be willing to step away from the post, Prasad Bisesa, who is opposition leader of the UNC, who has lost election after election after election, is battle-scarred. Her political currency is worth less than the Venezuelan Bolivar. But yet still she continues to hold on in hope. She continues to antagonize the very partners that she would need if she's to successfully wrest power from the PNM. She continues to attack Gary Griffith. She continues to look for strange bedfellows. She continues to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to what is national issues that she should speak on. For instance, this issue with the Patriotic Energies and the submission of a fraudulent document in an attempt to acquire a significant state asset. She has not spoken on that issue. And the little that her party has said about it, which came from the member for Orokuch East, rather than speak directly to the issue, call for police investigation into the matter and so on. The only issue that he took with it was, how did Minister Young get that? And how did Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited, which is the parent company for Guaracara, the holder, the refinery, how did they get that information, since they weren't a part of the bidding process? You see, understand what is at stake? That for the sake of wanting to win an election, and for the sake of wanting the support of the labor movement, they are willing to turn a blind eye to what is potentially serious wrongdoing, fraud, misbehavior. And if you can demonstrate that you have the propensity to engage in that type of activity when you're not in government, then what more can we expect when you're in government? And it is telling that Persad Bissessar has not spoken to that issue. But had such an allegation been made against an entity that is pro-PNM, bet your bottom dollar we would have heard all about it. She would have put out a press release calling for the police and to investigate, and the DPP and this one and that one and all of that. We would have heard. But nothing. This is a scandal of significant proportions, where the OWTU's head, the head of Patriotic, has not denied, did submit it, but he keeps saying that is, we're just dismissing that. That is irrelevant. Whether, we're not doing business with them with that company anymore and whatnot. The fact is, the company didn't submit a fraudulent document. You did. And there was ample opportunities and mechanisms for them to determine prior to submitting this document that it was fraud. Because if somebody wires you or sends you a document stating that they wired $1.5 billion and they send you a document showing that it was done, then obviously you're looking out to see that money. You're looking for as much documents as you can to submit to the evaluation team to support your bid. So if you see a week pass, I am holding a document in my hand that says $1.5 billion was wired to my account. I'm going to check my account, no money. I want to know what is going on. 2 weeks pass, no money. It don't take that long for a wire transfer to take effect. So that when you submitted that document, you must have had some inclination that, hey, something untoward here. Did you contact the entity that supposedly sent the money to find out what's going on, because the money ain't reaching the account yet? You tendered the document, not the company. But Persad Bissessar complaining in the parliament, there are allegations in the public domain that the PNM, high-ranking members of the PNM are engaged in pedophilia, and the police refuses to investigate this. Has she called for an investigation into that matter with the tendering of that fraudulent document? Imagine, police quick to lock up people who are applying to become police officers and they submit a fraudulent CXC certificate where they got passes that they didn't get, or they instead of they change a 2 into a 1, right? Things like that. They quick to lock up people. Things which are considered petty in comparison to the submission of this document. Persad Bissessar has nothing to say about that. And she continues to engage with these persons, continues to hold meetings with them, continues to embrace them. But as I said, to join with the UNC, you must have the propensity to be corrupt, right? And Patriotic Energies, the leadership has shown that they have that propensity. And while that matter should have been kept on the front burner, you know what? 9 days, we don't talk about that. We forget about that already. Next. So we're more concerned about what Stuart Young said and Zami and whatnot. We're more concerned about that. That is a bigger issue than an entity and persons leading that entity who have hopes of being part of the next government of Trinidad and Tobago, who may have engaged in blatant fraud We are not concerned that such persons can end up holding high office in just over a year or so. We're not concerned about that. We concerned what Stuart Young say, and Stuart Young must go, and it was reprehensible, and all of that, and Stuart Young, and Stuart Young, and Stuart Young. Stuart Young used some words that all you may like, and he is unfit to sit in the parliament. But you know who's fit to sit in the parliament? A man on $1 million bail for fraud. Yes, he is fit to sit in the parliament. You know who fit to sit in the parliament? Men who possibly submitted a document who may have knowingly engaged in attempted fraud. That is not attempted. They submitted documents, so that was fraud, in order to get a significant state asset. Yes, they are fit to sit in the parliament. And these hypocritical bleeding hearts who supporting that other party, who want to come on social media and attack Stuart Young and have nothing good to say and the worst to say, and why Stuart Young must go and Stuart Young this and that. What are your thoughts on Ansel Roger and Patriotic Energies? What are your thoughts on them? No thoughts. Because you don't want to say anything to upset them that they may pull away from a potential alliance with the UNC, because they need all the help that they could get. So you're willing to turn a blind eye to that, but you have a problem with Stuart Young see something on a hot mic. You could tell me any other things that may have been said. I saw some article a couple of days ago where subsequent to this situation with Stuart Young, where Ravi Ratiram, who Stuart Young was initially directing his comments to, said something to the effect about cocaine is for your brain or meant for your brain or some stupidness. So in the parliament, he said it. Right? What does that have to do with the business of the parliament? What was that in reference to? Any talk about that? The media highlighting that? No. We're not interested in that. Let's focus on Stuart Young and Stuart Young. Why? What's the issue? Oh, it is that he attacked Kamala. When he attacked Kamala, he was attacking women at a time when it is women in this country are under siege and women are being attacked. So the men are being attacked too. Over 500 murders for the year, and the majority of those are men. Majority of those are that 500 plus persons are men. So the men not under attack. No, women under attack. So you probably have about 10% or less of that is women. But because within recent time we've seen successive occurrences of women being killed by, in most cases, the better half, or I don't call it the better half, the significant other, right? All of a sudden, women are under attack in this country. So we couldn't care less about the number of men that die every year. So miss me with that BS now, right? Miss me with that BS. As I said yesterday on the barber shop, don't come to tell me nothing about Prasad Bissessa and she's a mother and a grandmother and you're attacking a former prime minister and former... Really? She was a minister of government when she made the statement, Ganga Singh dropped pipe, and more pipe. And I can't tell all the size of that pipe because I ain't see it yet. And the only pipe I know is Dr. Bissessa's pipe. What kind of language is that? Dr. Bissessa is a Wasa foreman? He's a plumber? Because if he isn't either of those two, I would love for you to tell us what pipe you was talking about. Which pipe you know belonging to Dr. Bissessa? What pipe? And she knew she was on national TV when that was said. Did she ever apologize for that? Did they ever chastise her for that and say, that is language unbecoming of a minister? I can't remember if at the time she was Minister of Education or Minister of Legal Affairs. But was that language becoming of a minister of government and a parliamentarian? You see, they want to tell you that what is said in the parliament is what defiles it. No. It's not that. That's not where it starts, It starts with who is in the parliament, is what defiles the parliament. Okay? And we expect parliamentarians to be held to a higher standard. And who holds them to a higher standard? The wider citizenry. Most of whom on a daily basis engage in behavior that is totally unbecoming. Right? Not because you're not holding high office means that, okay, that you should behave in a manner that is unacceptable, that is not exemplary. So when it is I could be driving around the savannah, the Queen's Park Savannah, and I'm seeing students from a school in Belmont who look like they're in Form 1, just come out of primary school, cussing like drunkard sailors, mother so and so on, effing this and all kind of thing. And I say, look at that. Where that come from? Where they hear that? You feel they don't use these things when they're home or probably in the presence of? How? I told you many years ago, as a child, make the mistake to curse my sister in the front yard, and my mother happened to hear, call me inside. Come, you little wretch, come. Cut my tail, good and proper. She not having that. I learned my lesson after that. I didn't have a soul alive that they could say they ever hear me curse. Me, and all it took was one dread cut tail from my mother. But I'm driving and I'm listening to you, looking like they probably 11, 12 years, cussing. I said, what the heck is this, boy? So apparently, but when you get to Parliament, you could have the nastiest and the filthiest mouth out. But once you get into Parliament, all of a sudden, yes, we expect better of you. That is part of the person's character. And so when they want to talk about, well, all the things an elder say, he don't say it in the Parliament because he can't. But he says it outside of the Parliament. And so every time he steps foot in the Parliament is desecrated. Right? Parliament is desecrated every time he enters. Because we know what is in his heart and what is in his mind. We know the nature and the character of the man. And people will tell you that is not the type of person you want in the Parliament. So, and the fact is that for now, he's potentially the UNC's candidate for St. Joseph. But there will be people in St. Joseph who will look at this character and say, no, I can't get a man my vote. I cannot desecrate my vote by giving it to him. What message would I be sending if it is that I contribute to putting this man in the Parliament to sit in the lower house? If he has no respect and he's sitting in the upper house, which is deemed to be of a higher standard than the lower house, and he's sitting in the upper house and could behave like that, and he's not, and he's just an opposition senator, how can I expect him to behave should he again become a government minister and he has power and stuff and he figure he reach? How is he going to behave? But that doesn't matter to his leader, the person who put him there. Anil Robert should be in a lead box encased in 60 feet of cement in the political cemetery. Instead, he sits in our nation's Parliament in the upper house, saying some of the nastiest and worst things. And I get so upset every time I make the mistake to go on his page or one of his videos pops up on my feed and listen to this man chastising Stuart Young and chastising Dr. Rowley and talking about vile language and desecration of the Parliament and all of that. Yes, you for real? You cannot be serious. You who have maligned every single person sitting on the government side. Every single person. You've had the nastiest of things to see. Claiming that every female minister got their position because they gave Dr. Rowley peace. That the Minister of Education is in a love triangle with Foster Cummins and the Prime Minister. Talking a pack of nonsense. Every time he talks about Fitzgerald Hines, he refers to Mr. Hines as Fitzgerald narcolepsy, ride on a horse with a little 8-year-old boy, implying what? Right? Questioning the sexuality of Rishi Sukai. Man, first day in the Senate, you come to do a live, your Douglas politics to question the man's sexuality. You're finally looking. You're referring to the Minister of Public Utilities as the Minister of Man. I know he likes to be in charge because he likes to be on top of man and all kind of nastiness like that. Where is the chastisement? So that when I read today's editorial in The Guardian, right? The Guardian can rock so with that. Rock so with that. Because if it is that you're not going to hold these so-called high officials to account, now, when are you going to do it? Right? So they come and they want to chastise Stuart Young. Where is the criticism? You feel they don't know what the things that Anil Roberts says? Why don't they talk about that? All of them who write an article, this next one, Selwyn Kojo, he decided to jump in the bandwagon too. In today's article that he posted. Where is the chastisement? Where is the criticism? But then again, he appeared at one of the crime talks, right? Next to Prasad Bisesa. So what does that tell you? I expect nothing different from him. But you encourage it. You turn a blind eye and a deaf ear when they're in opposition. But if they get back into office and they do it, all of a sudden now you want to criticize them. At the end of the day, they are still parliamentarians. And from the outside, they are seen to be a part of government. The legislative branch of government. There are three branches. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. They are part of the legislative arm of government, and so they have a responsibility to be respectful, whether inside or outside of the parliament. But these clowns, so I played for you all a couple of days ago. Robert's trying to make this thing, and the headline in today's Guardian, Stuart versus Foster, right? I commented that just now. Stuart versus Foster. So the UNC not being able to treat with that the potential replacement of Dr. Rowley, right? The implications that could have on their electoral chances. Because as I said before, there are lots of people who, they don't hate the PNM, they just hate Dr. Rowley because of the misinformation and the propaganda that is out there that paints Dr. Rowley as being this villain, this heartless, careless dictator who don't care about the poor and he only care about the rich and all of that. But nothing can be further from the truth, right? But because the opposition has been successful in painting that picture of Dr. Rowley, you have plenty of people outside there who don't understand how government works, who don't understand how cabinet functions, and figure, you know, I think Rowley is an oppressor, you're oppressing the poor. So hate Rowley. But there are those who wouldn't mind supporting the PNM if Dr. Rowley wasn't there. And the UNC can't deal with that. They know that at least one of, well, Stuart Young has crossover appeal, right? But then there are those who, regardless of who the leader of the PNM is, once it's not Dr. Rowley, they will be willing to support the PNM. So you know what they're doing now? They're trying to gaslight African people, persons of African descent, who support the PNM. Because remember, the PNM, according to them, is supposed to be a black man party, an African party, and therefore they're supposed to have an African leader, and they're supposed to be engaging in policies that are in favor or pro-African. Never mind the fact that even whenever the government, the PNM government, regardless of whether it's Rowley's government, Manning government, whoever tries to do anything that could be deemed as being affirmative action for persons of African descent, you will always have the same people who telling you the PNM are doing nothing for Africans and ain't doing enough as the same people who will go and challenge what little they perceive the PNM government is doing to uplift the African community. And so by pushing this narrative that they ain't doing enough for African and they Rowley ain't care about the Africans and all. So you heard last week, Roberts talking about Laurel Azama leasing and Rowley fire a black woman from the Senate, and he fire a black woman, but he defending Stuart Young, and Stuart Young is a Chinese. But the black woman he getting this next clown, he riding partner in the Senate, he decided to come with the same nonsense. I played for you. Forgive me, yes. I get it here. Apparently they figure if well, anyway. But I want to tell Naked a joke twice is never nice. All right? Roberts came with it wasn't funny, and you come back with it too. Let me get it here. Yes. Hold on. Let me connect this thing in. Let me make sure it's properly heard. Right. Can't even get a guild.
Trinidad and Tobago. Laurel
Lezama Leasing. He has been sitting in the Senate with Laurel Lezama Leasing how many years now? And can't get her name right. Doesn't know her name is Laurel and not Laura. What does that tell you? But that's Senator Naked. Senator Naked. Have a name plate in the Senate, sir, with the person's name on it. But even that he don't know. After all these years, you don't know her name. We continue.
Right from the Senate, after her husband obtained an ex parte order from the judge against her for domestic abuse. Now, I'm not talking about or commenting about the decision of the judge. There must have been some cogent evidence or whatever. But there's an element of unfairness to it as far as I'm concerned. And to be honest, and this is my point, when Kamla Prasad Bissessa and Julian John found out that it was a result of an ex parte order, that this domestic abuse charge was put in the papers and all of that against Laura Lizama Leasing, whatever her name is. when they realized that, they stopped any discussion about it within the UNC. We were told to cease and desist. Look at that, eh? Kamla Prasad Bisasa and Jolene John, because I was going to make a video, because I have heard Laurel Izamali say some things about Jayanti Lakshmi Diyal. I have heard. So we were told to cease and desist because an ex parte order is really something unilateral. It's done by the next party, and there's a certain lack of fairness. Let me say that in that it was publicized or leaked. I don't know who leaked it, but she was fired. Don't get me no talk about resign. She was fired because Rowley don't really care anything about black people. Laurel Izamali Singh, who didn't have a chance to respond. Is an ex parte order take my one person. She didn't have a chance to get her day in court yet. She was fired. Kamla Prasad Bisasa say, stay off of that. Cease and desist. She stopped saying anything as well. Here comes Stuart Young. Don't get me no ship in his board course though. He was talking in the parliament loud enough for the opposition to hear with the worst, most derogatory language. Not about somebody who committed a heinous act, who broke the Constitution. Don't come with that stupidness, who undermined the Constitution, who helped Rowley break the law.
So basically, he trying to defend himself there to say that when he called Paula May Weeks an insipid jackass, that was okay. So don't come and tell me about somebody who... So it was okay for him to call the president that because in his mind, she assisted Keith Rowley in breaking the law. Breaking what law? Breaking what law? And they keep pushing this stupid talk about, oh, Rowley subverted the process and he intercepted the merit list. Nonsense. The Prime Minister and the government were under no obligation to select anybody from that merit list. So whether it came to the parliament, it didn't come to the parliament, the outcome would have been the same. It would have come, had it come to the parliament, Prime Minister and the government would just go through, okay, first name on the list, no, we don't support that. Second, third, fourth, right, no, we don't want nobody there. Get rid of that. So this thing, the Prime Minister didn't have to intercept any merit list because he had recourse in the parliament. He was not obligated to select Gary Griffith. How will you know Gary Griffith's name was on the list? I don't know, right? Because if as you say, the list was withdrawn immediately, then the only people who know whose names were on that list is the Police Service Commission, the head, Frank Seepersad then, and the other members. Nobody, not even the president would have known because I don't even know if she's required to or to open the listing or whatever it is. By the end of the day, how will you know Gary Griffith's name was there? Anyway, but this is him trying to defend the indefensible. After he's saying the worst and most despicable thing that was ever uttered. The highest office in the land that you took, you had no problem referring to the president as that and trying to defend your foolishness. Now rock so with that naked. Rock so.
Intercepted Americans, nothing like that. He comes just so and said the worst things about Kamla Prasad Bisasa. Words that I am all shy to talk about. The worst things he said. Stuart Young, only PNM designated successor. What are we saying? Not a damn thing. Laurel Izamali Singh fired in an instant before you could blink your eye. But Stuart Young, the face of the Black Party. Boy, PNM is really a Black Party, yes? Yeah. Only fool all yourself with that. That is just to show you. Only who fool all yourself with PNM and UNC is the same thing. Only knowing, only a heart of hearts. It ain't no damn same thing. Look what Kamla do with her opponent, her adversary, and look what he already do with his own people, who just happen to be black. Trinidad and Tobago, love in the house, all the time.
And look what Kamla did to her own. Remember Stacey Rupnarine? I think her name had called up, but I ain't too sure, but I stand to be corrected. What did she do? Of what race was Stacey Rupnarine? You forget that? Just making mention of that. How many of them did she fire? Right? When she fired Colin Partap, of what race was Colin? Huh? Did Colin have his day in court? What was Stacey's crime? What was Stacey's crime? Rupnarayan, what was her crime? Her crime was that she wrote a letter to the Prime Minister on behalf of the board of NIDCO expressing concerns about possible bid rigging on the part of the substantive line minister. That was her crime, for taking a stance against possible corruption. And what happened to her? David? And the UNC is supposed to be an East Indian party, and look what Kamala Persad did to Stacey, who happened to be an East Indian. But I didn't hear no talk then about UNC is an Indian party, and look what Kamala doing to the East Indians. I didn't hear any talk about that. Now, David, when she fired Ram Logan didn't have his day in court. But at the time, it was just an allegation. David West made a statement, made a claim, but it wasn't proven. Gary Griffith said that Ram Logan asked him to call David West and make an inquiry. But again, Ram Logan denied these things and he was fired. Of what race was Ram Logan? Look at what did you come out and say, look what Kamala doing to her own? And the UNC is supposed to be an East Indian party? So what are you doing there? What you doing there? Look, miss me with that BS. Did you hear the nonsense he come in with? Talking foolishness about the UNC, about the PNM is a black party and Rowdy fired the black woman. And so in other words, trying to gaslight Africans now. He and it's only a matter of time before the rest of them jump on that bandwagon too. So all of those support the PNM, you see all the street black people. He's supporting the Chinese man. But look how he throw the black girl under the bus. There's this stupidness that they come in with. And unfortunately, you will have some people who will buy into that nonsense. You see, let's talk about the PNM as an African party. On what basis do we come to that conclusion? Is it based on the majority ethnicity of the supporters, or is it based on the ethnic background of the leader? Because, and I want to, when did the PNM start, or this perception started the PNM supposed to be an African party? It couldn't be when Eric Williams was the leader, because when Williams died, as far as I know, the three options to replace him was Kamaluddin Mohammed, Errol Mahabir, and George Chambers. And unless I am confused, Kamaluddin Mohammed and Errol Mahabir were not of African descent. But yet still back then, 40 years ago, right, 43 years ago, the membership of the party were prepared to accept either one of these gentlemen as the leader. George Chambers wasn't African either. Pretty sure of that. So the three persons who were the front runners to replace Williams, none of them could claim African heritage to say that they were Africans. But the party membership back then had no issue, as far as I'm aware, of accepting any one of these men. Chambers was eventually selected based on whatever procedure and process. I don't know. Right? I can't speak to that because, yeah, I wasn't wrong. But so now they have an issue. And the Guardian newspaper today, again, as Mr. Imbert said the other day, the media is trying to assist the UNC because they recognize the UNC is weak. So they have set the pace, set the stage for division in the PNM. Right? So now, as far as it is for now, it's Stuart versus Foster. So they're going to be looking for any little thing. If it is they go to an event and they see Foster Cummins and Stuart Young there, they want to look at body language. They want to see if Stuart Young shake Foster Cummins' hand. They want to see if they're talking, to see if there is any signs of any fracture, right? They're talking about, and the media continues to do this. They're allowing persons, so they're seeking out persons for commentary with respect to the ruling concerning Stuart Young going to the Privileges Committee. So they want to say, well, Bridget Anizet George was upset. And there was some instructions that came from the Prime Minister not to send Mr. Young to the Privileges Committee. And the Speaker wasn't in support of that. So that is why she excused herself and allowed the Deputy Speaker to make the judgment or hand down the judgment or make the decision or whatever as the case may be. Then they're talking about, well, if you notice, you would see that when the Deputy Speaker made the announcement that only some members of the government thumped the desk and the rest of them didn't because they're not in support of that and they're against Stuart Young being the next leader. And we're going to keep getting that in the coming days and in the coming weeks and the coming months. That's what we're going to be getting. So the focus is on the LOAC now. Let's see what holes we could poke in the PNM so that people could start drawing lines, who's supporting who. right? So you could have that talk out on the ground. They went into Stuart Young's constituency. Again, another media reporter asked his constituents what are their thoughts on him possibly being the next leader of the PNM. And they say, well, you know, some of his constituents not too warm to the idea and all of that because he's had just come and he don't have enough experience. And how much experience does, well, the main contenders, any of the main contenders have in the parliament? Who are these sources? Party sources say the two MPs are frontrunners. Who are these sources? And on what basis did these sources come to that conclusion? So it has nobody else who aspires to be the next leader of the PNM? But these are the type of headlines that we can expect to see in the coming weeks and months, intended to create some fracture in the party and some sort of a division in the party. Right? But no surprise. We expect that from them. So take away the focus from what is important. And so in that period, the UNC will be allowed to get away with murder. Because as I said, there are certain things on which should have been a matter of more public discussion, and the flippant way in which the media treated that issue with the Patriotic technologies and the submission of a fraudulent document is criminal in my mind. Anybody wrote any editorials on that? I didn't see any. Did the usual suspects, did they go to the usual suspects for ask for comment? Has any of these media houses gone to Indira Rampasad or Sheen Mohammed or Vishnu Raghunath or any of these persons, Karen Nunes Teixeira, to ask them, so what are your thoughts on the silence of the UNC, and in particular the leadership of the UNC with respect to that matter? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think it means? Or what is the reason why the UNC has not prosecuted this matter in the same way that they have prosecuted other things where persons affiliated with the PNM may have been accused? They're asking that question, no. Was that a significant topic of discussion for any of these morning shows? No. 9 days. I didn't think it'd get 9 days. On to the next thing. But they want to give this issue with Stuart Young 40 days. To keep dragging it out, whether it is that they're asking foolish questions. So do you think in light of Stuart Young's comments that he is still leadership material and all that kind of foolishness? They're going out on the street, CNC3, keep bringing up this issue. It has been dealt with. It is done. The next thing they're talking about is Fitzgerald Hines' comment about the citizens of the country are responsible for the murder, the high murder or whatever it is, right? Interestingly, CNC3 decided to pose that question, in the what the people say segment. And they went and they asked people, so do you agree with Fitzgerald Hines, what he said, that the members of the public or the citizen, wider citizenry is responsible? And the majority of people, they interviewed about 7 or 8 persons, and only one person disagreed. Everybody else said, yes, I agree. But I think the government has to bear some responsibility too. That was the overwhelming response. Everybody, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. But the government has a role to play. But the government must accept some level of responsibility. But the security forces have some responsibility to bear as well. So when they went and they thought everybody would accost Hines and say the worst, they got a surprise that the majority of persons that they interviewed and across the ethnic divide. So it wasn't persons of African descent to say, well, they all of them probably supporting the PNM. Right? There was a judicious mix of persons of East Indian descent and African descent who agreed with Minister Hines and asked, well, why you say that? And person was saying, well, they know it have people who know they have family members who involved in crime. They know their neighbor doing things and they ain't saying anything. They wouldn't contact the police and all of that. And they just keep to themselves. And all of this contributes to the crime. When it is that you have parents who can't rein in the children, right? When it is that you could read a story on the news or see on the nightly news a story about a 9-year-old child in a primary school in Faizabad, suspended on several occasions for bullying, 9 years old. 9 years old, suspended several times. You're crazy. You had to be mad. 9 years? Several times. I wouldn't have even been able to do it once. Or if I made the mistake to do it once, it wouldn't have been a second time. My mother would have rinsed out my backside. She would have come in school and do it. The licks would have started in school. And then when you reach home, you're getting a cocktail again. And long after that, if it is just on a normal day, a weekend, you slip up, or she just remember what you did, you get a cocktail again. Right? Just to make sure. You want to bully people? All right, come. 9 years old, suspended, not the parents coming on, suspended several times. But blame the government for that. Right? Because he has already shown he has the propensity to be a criminal. Because if his parents cannot rein him in and he's being suspended and continues to do that to terrorize people, children, that tells you something. So 6-7 years from now, when the police pick up with him, that's Hines' fault and that's Rowley's fault. Not the parents. No, don't blame the parents. Blame the government. And so therefore, Mr. Hines is onto something when he says that. But then people will say, well, me say nothing but they say snitches does get stitches, but in this case, snitches does get bullets. Me, I go and tell the police anything. Next thing, as soon as I call the police and I hang up the phone, people pull up in front of my house to shoot me up because the police is in league with the criminals. So if there's criminality in the police service, corruption, whose fault is that? What is Minister Hines supposed to do? What is the Prime Minister supposed to do? I was listening to, I saw on TikTok, somebody doing one of those videos where an altercation between a police officer and a civilian. I guess the police officer pull over the person for whatever, and the officer is having a discussion with an exchange with the person. Now, you ain't seeing the video, but somebody sort of to do, mouth in the exchange, right? And the person trying to talk and the officer saying, cussing it. So, listen to me. I effing talking. I just strip off real fast. And then it sounds as if the officer might have hit the person, right? I just strip off real fast. I talking, effing listen to me. This is a police officer. So when you have altercations like that, how you expect people to have respect for the police? Even if they have information. And you have a few like that who give the police service a bad name. And these I don't even want to say isolated incidents, because I'm sure there are others that simply may not have been caught or recorded. It just so happens that in this case, the individual happened to have some recording device on. And so you were able to hear it. But it is things like this that gets people upset. And so when the average citizen reads about these incidents or sees a video like that, they become incensed and upset to the point where they start to wish bad on the police service and police officers. So that people tell you, they feel intimidated to even go into a police station because you are the victim of a crime, and then you go into the police station to make a report, and by the time you come out, you're feeling like if you were the criminal. That's the body language that you get as you walk into the station, as if your body, you're harassing them. But we have to look at who do they have to choose from? When a lot of persons are going into the service simply because it's a work. Right? I have the qualifications and I'm unemployed or paying a fairly decent salary, so I will go and do it. Or you want the authority to be able to slap up people or do what you want, and the person cannot respond. That is the caliber of some of the people that going into the service. That will not instill any type of confidence in the citizenry. So right now is us versus them. And a few bad eggs. But blame Minister Hines for that. Blame Minister Hines that when we have gotten to the stage where the commissioner has to recall police uniforms because she does not have that confidence that some of the persons who are imitating police may not in fact be police officers. Or that it may not be a case that she cannot vouch to say, well, it's not a case that police officers may be renting out their uniforms to persons to go and commit crimes. We keep hearing about police officers running drug blocks and all of these different things. Commonplace, and people say, yeah, that's a normal thing. All of that contributing to the crimes. All of that. When you give bail, thanks to the UNC. When it is that you have a person accused of murder, receives bail, and persons who may have witnessed, their lives are now at risk. So this person who should be sitting behind bars, instead, within a matter of days, they're out on bail, free to go and threaten the witnesses and so on, or kill the witness, whatever. It don't matter. You feel these persons saying anything? I want to live. The dead done dead. Me to go and testify, or this person is now out on the street. I could just be walking, minding my own business, and it's the next thing you collect bullets. Why forget that, yes? Forget that. Thanks to who? It wasn't PNM lawyers that went to the court and decided to ask the court to overturn that law. It was UNC support. UNC lawyers did that. So always remember that. Jayanti Lakshmi, Senator Jayanti, Anand Ram Logan, and others. Always remember who was responsible for that. So when all want to blame the government and the government and Rowley, when he was in the opposition, he say if the government can't treat with crime and all of that and whatnot. We're dealing with a different scenario we're dealing with now. But I want to play something for you, right? Coming back to the issue of the parliament. Let me get this here. So they say Stuart is unfit to sit in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago because he was heard saying some things that is, to use the speaker's words, reprehensible and despicable. All right. Let me give a little something from another parliament. Another regional parliament. Isn't it? This is the Parliament of St. Vincent. This is an exchange between the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and a member of the opposition.
But no, just a minute.
Something really wrong with
Mayor,
in the most
why don't you shut up and stop
shut up last
insulting people?
too.
Shut up and stop insulting
Ralph,
people.
shut up. Shut
No.
up, Ralph.
Honorable member.
Ignorant and
I am
stupid.
on my
Ralph,
feet.
nobody can be more stupid than you.
Honorable members.
Talk to him.
Honorable members, please take your seats.
Now, Gio, there was also
I'll give Ole another one.
You love power that I could never support you. The power is when you say you're a bad boy.
Honorable members,
I'm ready for all of you, you know. I'm ready for all of you. Every one of you.
Boy, look.
I'm asking that both
I'm Prime
members.
Minister for 21 years.
Both
The Prime Leader of the
members,
opposition. Cummins said that you love power that I could never support you. The power hungry.
Honorable Prime Minister, honorable member.
Don't ask me anything since sitting down. Don't ask me anything sitting down. You don't ask me stand up, man.
You ready out the place, you
Madam
You
Speaker,
call the Minister of Finance.
Madam
and
Speaker,
NDP
I was
must suffer and die?
speaking. I'm not giving way.
Do you
Right
say
on
the
point of
Minister of
order.
Finance and NDP must suffer and die?
You think
You
anybody?
have been sitting there.
Nobody is afraid in this house, you know.
Something about it.
Sit down.
Like something so wrong with your eye. You should go and get spectacles. Huh?
Can we have the answer?
Don't be stupid and illiterate.
Let's have the answer to the supplementary question.
But you mean the question you ask is a stupid and illiterate question?
Well, that will have to be a stupid illiterate Prime Minister.
Honorable members. But no, just a minute.
Something really wrong with
Mayor,
in the most
why don't you shut up and
you
stop
shut up
insulting
last
people?
too.
Shut up and stop
Honorable
insulting
Ralph,
people.
shut up.
On this side of the house, one of the portfolios that I shadow is health. And therefore, I have been at the forefront of discussing matters related to COVID from this side of the house. Madam Speaker, I charge you to advise the Honorable Minister who makes these cynical comments about my medical attention to resist being asinine in his comments, because that's what he's doing. You do not make snide remarks about people's medical needs. If you were close to me, you would get a Chris Rock special. Because he is that foolish. He is that foolish.
Honorable members. Honorable members. Let us observe proper parliamentary language.
Thank you, Madam.
Honorable member, please continue. Please continue.
Madam Speaker, from the very onset of the coronavirus.
Yes, when you say you're a bad boy.
Right. That was the Parliament of St. Vincent. You have the Parliament of Jamaica. In fact, St. Vincent recently had their budget debate, which collapsed because, same as one side speak, the next side speak. When it came to, and I think the budget debate might have just been about a day or two in progress, when it had to be wound up because members of the opposition didn't want to get up because remember we had a similar situation a couple of years ago where the shadow MPs wanted to wait until the substantive minister spoke. So in St. Vincent, the Prime Minister, the shadow MP, opposition's shadow MP or Minister for Health was waiting for the Minister of Health to speak. And when they came the next day, because the Minister of Health wasn't in the Parliament, so he wasn't ready to speak yet. The speaker, somebody on the government side speak, and then the speaker said, well, okay. Anybody else? Nobody on the opposition bench got up. So Ralph Gonzalez got up. He said, well, I was planning to speak on Friday, but in as much as nobody on the opposition bench wishes to speak, and there are persons there who haven't spoken yet, I will call on the Minister of Finance to wind up the debate, wind up the budget debate. Well, boy, all hell break loose. Bacchanal, if you're here, if you hear it, all kind of thing, right? But I make the comparison to show that when you have people in Trinidad want to give you the impression that our parliament is so terrible, and when we look at the type of behavior and whatnot, there is still a significant amount of decorum in our parliament. And this belief that people have, you see, there's only get on so in the parliament, but all of them is friend outside and there's been knocking glass, rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Right? You see that exchange between Ralph Gonzalez and that fellow, why do Hosha blasted mouth? We have never seen the likes of that in our parliament. Never. That type of exchange. But when it is that you have the member for Kuwa North could speak for a whole 55 minutes and keep you talking about who dumb and end his presentation by saying that Dr. Roy will go down as the most dumb prime minister the country has ever seen. Thunderous applause from his colleagues, right? And then afterwards they go up one by one to shake his hand and tell him what a great presentation he did. But all who want to attack Stuart Young, where were you? You all condemn that? No, you have no issue with that. When Prasad Bisasa talk about, somebody told her that with this government ain't no party like a Diddy party. What does that mean? What does that mean? She said that in her contribution, in her response to the budget. Somebody told her that when it comes to this government ain't no party like a Diddy party. But before that, she was claiming that there are allegations in the public domain that senior members of the PNM are engaged in pedophilia. Not one shred of evidence to support that. They have maligned Ken Valley's name, claiming that he was involved with the death of Akil Chambers so many years ago. Where they get that from? Ken Valley is dead and gone and cannot defend his good name. The man has children. He was a father, a grandfather. You know, they love to say Kamala is a mother and a grandmother and a sister and all of that. Well, Ken Valley was a father and a grandfather and somebody brother and all of these different things too. All of these things. But who has come to his defense? But all they taking is Sue. But what Stuart Young says, I know thing and whatnot. But when she said, ain't no party like a Diddy party, what did she say? Those of us who have been following this situation with P. Diddy, we know full well what a Diddy party is alleged to have involved. Homosexuality, sexual abuse, use of drugs, you name it. Some of the most egregious sexual acts we are hearing about. When now you have young women coming out and saying that they were drugged and raped and all of these different things in a Diddy party. And she is saying, somebody told her that when it comes to this government, ain't no party like a Diddy party. So basically she said the same thing, you know. But it's just that she didn't use unparliamentary language. And when she said that, yeah, the members of her side, they applaud that raucous laughter. She wasn't reprimanded by the speaker. But all of you all who have an issue with Stuart Young, what Stuart Young said, no, fine, you have a problem with it, you find it was because the reality is, had the mic not been on, the members of the UNC who were in the parliament at the time and who heard it, did you see them make any issue? The video is there when it was said. Did you see any of them draw to the speaker's attention that they take offense? Did they call on the speaker reprimand Stuart Young at that time? No, they couldn't care. It didn't matter to them. And as you all heard, David Nackett just said it, that Stuart Young's voice level was enough for the members on the opposite bench to hear him. He said that. You heard him say that. But when you look at the video, they were hearing him. Did any of them object? Did they throw back any talk and say anything? No, they packing up the bag looking to head out because, yeah, that is all talk. We are accustomed hearing them thinking, whatever, Stuart could say what he wants. There was no issue. Nobody lodged any complaint. The next day, why didn't they come to the parliament and file a motion of privilege against Stuart Young the next day? You know why? Because it didn't matter to them. That just Stuart Young talking. We are accustomed with that thing because we don't know what the other side says when the mic is off. But only because the video was made public to kick out the PNM. Look at the source. Because they made it public. And all of a sudden, members say, Paul, you're vexed and everything and whatnot, and Stuart Young this and Stuart Young that. But you're encouraging Anil Roberts in his nastiness. When he claimed that the former president was making appointments based on pum-pum politics, implying that the president was a lesbian, the highest office. Some of you all who have issue with Stuart Young said nothing about that. And you all continue to support this woman who has him sitting in the Senate today with that level of nastiness. Everybody, you heard what David Nackett said there, that when they found out that it was an ex parte matter, that Lezama Leesing's husband would have gone to the court and gotten this judgment without her being aware or whatever it is, that he was prepared before they found that out. He was going to make a video because of things Laurel Lezama Leesing has said about Jayanti Lakshmi. So he was going to put a tongue lashing on Laurel. Right? But then Kamala Prasad Bisasa and Jolene John gave instructions to leave it alone, do not attack her. Which is why people were concerned because first of all, Kamala came out and said Dr. Rowley must come clean with the nation on this issue with Laurel Lezama Leesing, and 2 days later, she defended Laurel Lezama Leesing. Right? So according to Nackett, she did that because she found out that it was ex parte, and as a lawyer, she knew what that means. So she told them cease and desist. Do not speak on that matter. Well, I want to ask them, why didn't she give the same instructions when the UNC was pushing this nonsense about Sharon Rowley having an affair with a member of the special branch security detail? Where was the evidence of that? Why didn't she tell Nackett and all of them and Roberts and the rest of them to stop that stupid talk? Right? When they were going at the Monday night forum and making reference and talking about special branch and like Rowley, well, you know, Rowley have a problem with branches and special branch and all of that. She joined in the nonsense. Sharon Rowley has shown herself to be nothing but a pillar of virtue. Right? This woman who tries to stay out of the limelight and stay out of the bacchanal and the commerce. But all you draw her into this nastiness, going so far as to take a picture of a policeman from India, an Indian policeman, and posting it up and saying this is the man. And then of course the fact checkers went and did the research and showed us that, you know, this is actually showing the officer in his Indian uniform in India. But that is the depths to which they went to claim and said that the nastiest things, oh, she horning Rowley with that thing with the Indian man, and she horning Rowley to member the security detail. There was no evidence of such. Why didn't you do the same thing and tell your people cease and desist? Cease and desist. She didn't do that. No. Yeah, let me take a second. Right? Decency is what Sharon Rowley is, and she has had to put up with. You think she likes? You can imagine what she had to go through. I'm sure there was some of them probably in her office, her law office, who support the UNC and who snickling and every time she come in the office. Common sense would tell you, even if how is that even possible? How is that even possible? Anybody who has seen Sharon Rowley's security detail, right? So you would have normally 2 SUVs. You don't know which one she's in, but the several officers are with her. When she find any time to go off with this officer? When? She has to go anywhere, she jump in the vehicle, you have officers in both vehicles to carry her wherever it is that she needs to go, and then when she's finished, they take her back to her office, or they take her back to the Prime Minister's residence, or wherever it is she has to go. So when she find any time to hug up, or whatever, with this officer, when? But that didn't stop them from saying that nastiness. But Stuart Young says something, so he attack. Sharon Rowley's a mother, she's a grandmother, she's a wife, she's somebody's sister, right? And she has never engaged in that level of nastiness. Never. But that didn't stop them. And Kamala could have. The same way she could have issued instructions, lay off of Laurel Lezama Leesing, she could have given the same instructions. Hey, Let me don't go there. Right? Ease us up with that. But because of your contempt for the Prime Minister, you drag the Prime Minister's wife into this nastiness and sully the woman's good name and reputation that she has worked her entire life to build. And you have your supporters saying this nastiness. I know what is worse? When they have the Monday night forum meeting, and Roberts will say these things, and Kamala speaking, or Munila will be speaking, and one of the members, the supporters in the audience would shout out something, some nastiness that Anil Roberts said. You know what I said? But me, I know about that one, I leave in that for Anil. She loves to say that. I don't know about that. Well, I can't speak to that. That is for Anil to speak about. Why? If you believe it, why don't speak about it? If you see nothing wrong with it, why you don't speak about it? Because you know it's nasty, disgusting, and degrading. So you am speaking about that. You will leave that for Anil to talk about, because that level of behavior is beneath you. But he is your attack dog to be talking that kind of filth. And she still has him in the Senate. Still has him in the Senate. So if it is that as a claim, Dr. Rowley fired Laurel, right? Fired the black woman. Who was she replaced by? Not a black man? Last I checked, Ansel Dennis more black than Laurel. So what is your point? But even so, it goes to show that if it is that there was some issue that could bring the party into disrepute with respect to that, and she was removed, then what Anil Roberts has been doing outside is infinitely worse. But yet still, Persad Bissessa has him sitting in the Senate. Has him sitting in the Senate. Right? We have no problem with that. Where is it? Let me get it here. Right. Language matters. Article by Selwyn Kojo. 2 weeks ago, I responded to Nigel Sinat Singh's letter that appeared in the Express. I wrote when I warned about the dangers inherent. Let me get it. In the leader of our grief statement about women. So he refers to Dr. Rowley as the leader of our grief. I was not trying to demonize him or Stuart Young. I was only alerting my readers to be on guard about the violence against women. I emphasized women that exist in our society and the role that language plays in this regard. 2 weeks later, Minister Stuart Young spoke and washed away all doubts about the misogyny of most of our male parliamentarians. When citizens made out Young on social media for his coarse sexual language, he tried to pass it off as crosstalk between colleagues. But it was more than that. It revealed the garbage in his mind that must be discarded if we are to tackle the larger question of violence against women. This is why House Speaker Bridget Aniza George rejected his underwhelming apology. I rule, so he goes on to say what the Speaker said. Speaking from her own womanist framework, she declaimed, as a woman, I am naturally led to condemn statements which seek to indecently portray another woman, statements which trivialize criminal activities which exploit women, or statements which impute improper conduct on behalf of other members. On Thursday, I expressed my condemnation of the use of the language which was not reflective of the civility expected of the House. I once again direct members to refrain from misogynistic, homophobic, and disparaging remarks in this House. After the Speaker's reprimand, Young offered a more comprehensive apology for words which he said he uttered sotto voce, that is, in a quiet voice, which included colloquial terms. Whether his words were uttered quietly or loudly, it smelled to high heaven. And he never apologized to the leader of the opposition, the object of his venom. Young has not grasped the offensive nature of what he said and what it says about himself and his male colleagues on both sides of the House. Language is never innocent. It reveals more than it conceals. A person is his or her language and vice versa. But yet still that didn't stop him from going on a platform, right? Sharing a platform with Persad Bissessa, who would have made statements to the effect, where you get your name? My name is my ancestor's name. I got my name from my ancestors. Where did you get yours? Yours is a slave master's name. Did she ever apologize to the members of the African community for her words? Well, let me repeat what he says here. Language is never innocent. It reveals more than it conceals. A person is his or her language and vice versa. Where did that come from? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when it is that she could make a statement to Camille Robinson Regis, where you get your name from? Yours is a slave master's name. That was an insult to Africans, not just in Trinidad, but across the world, whose ancestors had no choice when it comes to names. Yes, and we played the clip with Kunta Kinte. What's your name, boy? Every time you say Kunta, licks, what's your name? And when he finally gave in, because he couldn't take any more licks, what did the man was whipping him, what did he say? That's a good end. Yeah. And many were telling, yeah, but that was just a movie. You feel that didn't happen? You think that didn't happen? But that's okay. Did Selwyn Kojo write an article condemning Persad Bissessar? I don't know, maybe he did. I don't know. But I would focus on what he just said here. And I would repeat it again. Language is never innocent. It reveals more than it conceals. And a person is his or her language and vice versa. Because apparently Camille Robinson Regis had a choice in her last name, right? And her ancestors did. Because you see, persons of African descent don't have the wherewithal, like Mrs. Persad Bissessar, to hop on a plane at taxpayers' expense to say you're going back to the motherland, right? To look for your roots. To look for your roots because it's easier for you. Because at least you have a name that you could work with. But the members of the African community don't have that. They don't have a name to work with. Okay? But she was allowed to say that. No call for no apology made. And the fact that she made no apology tells us where her thinking is at. People supported that. And you know what? Rather than condemn her for that nonsense, come to say, well, you know, it's Camille Robinson Regis started it. Camille Robinson Regis simply said, Kamla Sushila Persad Bissessar. You know, it's for emphasis. Kamla Sushila Persad Bissessar. You know when it is that you do something, the parents, you know you're going to get a cocktail and they call out your whole government name. You know it's serious. But they sought to make it into a racial thing that she was making fun of Kamla Persad Bissessar's name and whatnot, and she's proud of her name. And yeah, that is what you had some of these pitiful defenders doing to give Persad Bissessar a get out of jail free card. That Camille started it. But I always make the point. Laurel Azama Leasing was the MC on the night, and she did the same thing. She's called out Kamla Persad Bissessar's full name too. How come they didn't take issue with Laurel, but they only took issue with Camille Robinson Regis? I know Camille's idea, and she was mocking Kamla's name. Absolute rubbish. Because when Kamla comes on a platform and says, Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines, and she has done it on many an occasion, Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines. And in fact, there were times when she mocked Ethelbert. Ethelbert. What can I Ethelbert? What was that? So she could come and call out the full name of the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines. Ethelbert, and laughing at that. And that's okay. Almost every political leader in this country, every time, Keith Christopher Rowley, right? Patrick Augustus Mervyn Manning. You have Watson Solomon Duke. How do we know these? Because there's nothing wrong with it. It is the norm. Philip Edward Alexander, political leader of PEP. Right? That is how it has been. But it make it an Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson. You had no excuse. No excuse with that. That wasn't to call these folks by their full name. No racial connotation. Has nothing to do with mocking the name or whatever. But the minute you call Kamla Sushila Persad Bissessar, oh, you're mocking her East Indian name and all of that. Right? And you had clowns, fools, who jump on that bandwagon and supporting that nonsense. It took her 9 days to be upset. 9 days before she spoke about it. In that 9 days, nobody from the UNC took any issue. They had no problems with it. They heard it. They saw the meeting. Nobody came out the next day or the day after or the day after that to say, well, you know, that was disrespectful, or Camille Robinson Regis was attacking Kamla Persad Bissessar. Only when 9 days later at a public meeting, Persad Bissessar raised that as an aside. Then all of a sudden, the members of the UNC realized, hey, well, the leader upset, so leader, you vex, well, we vex. And all of a sudden, after 9 days, the Women's League decided to put out, well, 10 days, the Women's League decided to put out a press release condemning Camille Robinson Regis. So what happened to the previous 9 days? How come it wasn't so offensive then? But what Kamala said was very disrespectful. Where are the editorials? Where is Indira Rampasad? Where is Shane Mohammed? Where are the usual suspects? Was an apology ever proffered? No, but that's okay. Mock the fact that persons of African descent have an African slave master, give you that name. Slave master. Yes. Never forget that your ancestors would take relics. They were slaves. My ancestors weren't slaves. My ancestors came here as free people, indentured laborers. They were not slaves like yours. 400 years. My ancestors didn't get licks like yours. Let it go. You know? This one, Pinal, who used to call on 91.9. I don't listen to the station again, so I don't even know if he still does. He used to say that earlier. Need to let that go. Let go that. Well, he's still carrying that for. Forget that. Yeah. People need to examine and analyze what was when she said that, what was in that. Apology was the least that Prasad Bisesa should have proffered for that statement. But out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. She was allowed to say that and get away with it. To date, the members of, she didn't just offend Camille Robinson Regis. Right? And then you had people like, I think they had spoken to, what name, Kafra Kambon or something. I can't remember if it is, you know. And we had people coming to defend that and try and dog whistle persons of African descent. But that wasn't as bad. So apparently what Stuart Young said was even worse. So he offended the leader of the opposition. Kamala Prasad Bisesa should be on her knees groveling and apologizing to every single person of African descent in this country. And not just in this country. Right? Everywhere. Totally downplayed. And I'm sure you probably have persons listening here who support her who will talk that nonsense. And this choppiness, but I need to let it go. I need to let it go. She's boasting. Her ancestors didn't have to go through that. What the persons of Africans. So let it go now. Let it go. But they love to reference that to talk about the state of the African community today. Yeah, that's why persons of African descent, they love to talk about that. They own no business and they own nothing. According to Philip Alexander, the only role and purpose that persons of African descent serve in this country is to be laborers and consumers. He said that. He who is looking to align himself with her. Yeah? That's the only thing Africans good for. To work for those who have for the other ethnicities and to spend your money in their business places. You serve no other real purpose. Like minds. That's why he could align himself with her. Where is the apology for that? There is none. And none will ever be forthcoming. So that when the Prime Minister called on Prasad Bisesa to apologize for her statement with respect to the Diddy Party and accusing members of the PNM hierarchy of being involved in pedophilia, a serious crime against children. No apology. You know, Munilal come out and say that is just a distraction. We're only going with that. That him being accused of rape and his father being accused of rape and Vanilla Allen Toppin saying that he was the product of a rape. Forget that. We what apology for. Look how long that was said. Look how long that was said. That we see all the time. You have some people who have lived their lives in trauma because of something that happened many years ago. And all they want is an apology to forgive. But they cannot forgive the offender because the person who offended never apologized, never showed any kind of remorse for what they did. And people carry that for years. They're bitter because of that. And all they would have wanted was a simple apology to be able to let it go, and they can't. You know what? Because what they felt and the hurt that they felt, the fact that that person cannot come and apologize for what they did says that you are trivializing how I felt. And so even so, at the risk of sounding like I'm criticizing the speaker, it's not my intent. But again, you see this thing about talking about focusing on women and women. That is why society is the way it is, right? Because men are taught men not supposed to cry. You're supposed to be tough. But if it is that we see women all of a sudden, we're seeing a lot of crimes taking place where women are murdered, all of a sudden women under siege. But when it is that you have men going to court and the children's mother bringing them up in court, despite the fact that they're doing their best to raise the children. You don't want the man to see the child. You find the money he giving you is not enough, despite the fact that he's working hard and he can barely make ends meet. But you're still, all of that. We don't talk about these things now. No. Where is society to represent these men? I have to give the example of my brother who lives in the US and has been living so for a very long time. Right? And he and my former sister-in-law, when they broke up, because my brother decided to migrate, the intention was for him to, organize for my sister-in-law and my niece and nephew to come up, and that didn't happen. Right? And eventually they grew apart. And so, but he was still sending money every week, sending money to take care of his children's needs. Plenty money too. He's sending stuff. They want laptop, they want whatever. He making US dollars, he's sending it for them. Until somebody whisper in her ears, a family member. Well, here now, if he's sending that amount of money, that means he's making money so he could get more. You could get more. Take him to court. Take him to court. Right? Take him to court. Man sending over $1,500 US for you every month to take care of his 2 children. And he's sending other stuff too. Took him to court. And the court said, $250 a week for each child. Greed. Right? Greed. I'm so upset with my brother, but he said, well, I only send in that for her. And when he came to make his court appearance, he went, unit trust, and opened accounts for both his children. And he sent in money for my sister to put in the account for them. The court said, give her this, I'm going to give her that. Because since you want to play nasty and vindictive, I send in you all of this money to take care of my kids. They need anything, I send in it, but you still want to take bad advice. Well, 2 could play at that game. And these are the things that happen. But where are the defenders for these men? Or men on the whole? Where are the defenders for them? So men mustn't cry. Right? And men must always have a stiff upper lip. So that we take offense to Stuart Young saying something about Kamala Persad that person is considered to be misogynistic, homophobic. But it's okay for the very people who condemn Stuart Young to call Stuart Young small pin at every turn. Persons who occupy high office, small pin, small pin, small pin. And all who using the term have no problems with that. But Stuart Young say one thing that about Kamala and only upset. Right? But if it is some of these men who referring to Stuart Young as small pin, if it is they end up in an argument with their wife or their girl or whatever it is, and she'd say, you have a small pin, you're likely to turn around and hit her back and slap. Right? Especially if she says it in public. But it is okay. No, we can still be upset, But when Anel Roberts referring to Marvin Gonzalez, who is a father and a husband or whatever, as the minister of man, what does he mean by that? When he refers to Stuart Young as small pin, what is he referring to? Obviously, he's referencing small pins, Stuart Young's genitalia. Right? Talking about the man's penis. But you have Philip Alexander asking, what is PNM's obsession with Kamala's crutch? You have the same Anel Roberts who refers to Faris as Faris a la tight pants. Right? Where is the defense for that? Who is defending Stuart Young? So it's okay, man, he can take that small thing. So when members of the UNC referring to him as small pin, when you have persons who occupied significant office in this country could mount a platform and refer to the Minister of Energy as small pin, this man who working night and day, sometimes at the expense of family time, to be flying to Europe, Washington, Venezuela, right? So that he could try and secure Trinidad and Tobago's energy future so that 3 years from now, we don't have to be complaining, well, when I go to the bank, I can't even get 200 US to travel, and I can't get 200 US. He is giving up family time. The man has kids. When they're talking about his ex-stepdaughter, when Kamala Persad said in the parliament, when there was an exchange, I think sometime last year, and she said, Minister Young, they should come for your daughter. Who should come for his daughter? Go and find your daughter. That was okay. No apologies for that. Why she had to bring, and that is the man's ex-stepdaughter. But even if she was current, why you have to bring that into the debate? What that had to do with the debate? They should come for your daughter. But if anybody say anything about Kamala's son, all your vex, or she grandchild, all your vex. That is okay because he's a man. So man's supposed to take that. But the minute he decided to give back is a problem because she's a woman and she's a mother and she's a grandmother. How do you think Stuart Young's children feel when they hearing, his sons feel when they hearing people calling their father small pin? When they go to school and they hear small pin, what that mean? Any concern for Stuart Young's family and children? No. But all you're concerned about Mrs. Persad Bisessa's family and Mrs. Persad Bisessa, and you're attacking women. But it's okay. It's okay to call Marvin Gonzalez Minister of Man. Marvin Gonzalez has children going to school. How do they feel when they go to school? Right? To know that you have not, and it's not just Anel Roberts, it's others. When Jack Warner mounted a platform and referring to Marvin Gonzalez as he, she, well, she, her, him. Well, you know, the stomach, you know, well, so I'll forgive me now, you know. He, she. Who came to Marvin Gonzalez's defense? Who came to his defense? All of these article writers, the usual suspects. Did any of them come and say that was inappropriate behavior? No, but you have Ralph Mirage talking about, yes, now that Gary Griffith and Kamala and Jack have come together, there is hope. When I go to the grocery and the market, I hear people, I see the smile on people's faces because there is hope. Hope has returned. That's the hope. Has Karen Nunes Teixeira, who want to talk about Stuart Young's challenges to him becoming perhaps the next leader because of his ethnicity. Has she ever spoken to that issue about reference of small pin? And because the wider society has not condemned it, Anel Roberts and others in the UNC have felt emboldened to use that same term in reference to this man who is doing more than perhaps any other Minister of Energy has done in years in this country. Let us not forget that the Dragon Gas deal spans 3 administrations: Manning, Persad Bisessa, and the Rowley administration. And Stuart Young was able to do what Kevin Ramnarayan was unable to do. He was able to do what Conrad Enel was not able to do. He was able to do what Carolyn Seepersad Bechan was not able to do. He was able to do what Franklin Kahn was not able to do in the space of 3 years. So much so now that he has the heads of the biggest energy corporations in the world calling him for advice, calling him to find out if it is he will be attending certain meetings overseas. First name basis. He could pick up the phone and call any one of them. Kevin Ramnarayan could do that. But let me get rid of Stuart Young. Stuart Young must go. He was vile and despicable. But all the time when he was working hard, when only lie down in only bed in the night, watching TV, right? Sit down with your kids around the table, doing homework with them. Where was he? He has to be burning the midnight oil in Washington. He is not around to sit down with his children to do homework. He's not around to say, hey, let me go and kick some ball in Mandela Park, right? Because why? He's doing the work of the country. He's trying to make sure that your children, 5 years from now, that they could still get the benefits of the state. He is going out there at expense to his family to ensure that 5 years from now, you could still go in the hospital and get free medication, free attention, that unlike what obtains in the US, that you don't have to pay when you call the ambulance. I'm going to play something else for you. Let's see if I get it here. Just to give you all an example. He's out there doing that to make sure that your children still have free education. He is out there making sure, putting things in place to ensure that 5 years from now, you could still get the subsidy at the gas pump. You could still get the subsidy on your electricity bill. You could still get your subsidy on WASA, so when you could be paying the lowest rates in the hemisphere. He is out there sacrificing family time to ensure that you, who have no problem with them being called small pin, and who will join in the nonsense and calling them small pin and find that funny, that when he is out there, right, doing the work, shuttle work, Washington, Caracas, Port of Spain, UK, Qatar, you name it, all over the place. When he is out there doing that, jet lag, having to be going from flight to flight to flight, having to sit down in boardrooms to negotiate on your behalf, for which he gets no thanks, other than perhaps some in the UNC, from some, not UNC, in the PNM. All he gets is repudiation from the UNC. No acknowledgement of the hard work that he does. Tell me who could do the work that he has been doing. Who? Even on the PNM side. If today or tomorrow Stuart Young decides, well, you know what? Hanging up my political gun belt. I I'm going back into private practice. Who going to replace him? Who could pick up the phone other than Dr. Rowley, perhaps? And Dr. Rowley can replace him, but other than Dr. Rowley, who could pick up the phone and call Meg O'Neill and whoever, who else could do that in the PNM? Who could do that in the UNC? If today or tomorrow election is called in the UNC, when David Lee could do that? David Lee could pick up the phone and call Mira Flores and talk to Maduro? Kamala could pick up the phone and call and talk to Maduro or talk to Delcy? Who going to do that? Anna Roberts? The one who has maligned Delcy and what's the other one? Wilma Ruperti and all of that? Kamala could do that, but you all run into her defense. She who has maligned Maduro and has put this country's energy future in jeopardy. That if they win, there's a possibility that all the work that Stuart Young and Dr. Rowley have been doing for the last 4 or 5 years could come to naught. But only run into her defense. But the man who has been working overtime to secure economic future of Trinidad and Tobago, well, they're ready to throw him under the bus because of something that was said on a hot mic. Something very wrong with Tolia. Very wrong. Let me get this here. Play this for their benefit. Things that you all do appreciate. Guess what? Others do. Where is it? Where is it? That's not. Give me 1 second here. Right. What I'm about to play here is from somebody who has been very critical of the government of Trinidad and Tobago and has openly indicated that they support the UNC.
Country Trinidad and Tobago. Yesterday I come into the hospital, Eric William in Montauk with my 2 children, right? Sick with vomit, fever, cough, head pain, and bones pain, and more problems. I come in 9 o'clock in the morning, right? The doctor checked my children, nice attention. The hospital is really clean. Good attention, boy. Nice doctor. The toilet is more clean than the toilet from my house. But the more important, boy, the doctor gave me that paper, the antibiotic free for my children, boy. Huh? Antibiotic free, boy. Nah. I don't can believe it, boy. Huh? Oh my gosh. I go into the pharmacy to check it's true or lie, boy. And listen, in for a thing today, some people call me Cuban, boy. 1K free for you, look. Boy, 1K free and the medication free. I go into the pharmacy from Montauk Hospital. Eric William, I tell you, it's true or lie.
Welcome, one and all to the land of death. Trinity to the bone, Trinity to the bone.
Olio, it's true. The hospital give me free the antibiotic for my children. 2 bottles, right? The tablets, and that's. Good job, boy. Good job. That don't happen in Cuba and Venezuela. No? In Cuba and Venezuela, plenty money, but only in Trinidad and Tobago, free antibiotics in the hospital. In Eric Williams. Good job, boy. Okay, thank you to the just no, I don't can say the name. Thank you to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago for the good job, right? Nice attention in the hospital, Eric Williams. Nice service and nice doctor. Thank you, Prime Minister. Continue with the good job.
Continue with the good job. He went to the hospital. His 2 children sick. You heard what he said? Get the antibiotics free. Couldn't believe it when the doctor gave him the prescription to go to the dispensary. Let me go and see if it's truth or lie. And he went and he gets it. You get the antibiotics, you get the pills and whatever else. It was difficult for him to say thank you, Prime Minister, because most of his videos, I look at when he talk in politics, he always cussing the Prime Minister and telling about how things hard in Trinidad. But you hear what he said? In Venezuela and Cuba, plenty money, boy, plenty money. Plenty money. Trinidad, it's free. But all the health sector in Trinidad is the worst. Rowley mash up the health sector. The thing, guy went in the hospital, how much hours he had to wait? How many hours did he have to wait? Because you know what? Well, they're taking propaganda. Half of them who talking as stupidness, ask them when last they went to the hospital, to the public health sector. Ask them when last they went. But because they see everybody saying that, they jump on the bandwagon and repeating it, but you just hear him say that his experience. Thank you, Prime Minister, for good job, good job. So that even somebody who always cussing the Prime Minister, see same thing? Stuart Young over there making sure that could continue. That could continue. All their locals, cussing. It's the worst. The health sector is the worst thing. He ain't saying that. He went to the same Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, aka Mount Hope. Same hospital that all always cussing and they know damn good. My aunt went to the Arima hospital just last week or so. Right? Diabetic and has some issues with her leg and so on and whatnot. And my cousin went with her. My cousin called me and whatnot because she said in no time at all, the new Arima hospital, all the tests that they had to do, blood tests, MRI, everything, she was surprised because you hear, and this is a teenager, a 16-year-old, who are accustomed hearing people talking about the state of the public health sector. And she was surprised at how quickly my aunt was treated in Arima hospital. When it is that Jack Warner wrote the article the other day talking about the Arima hospital, the new Arima hospital is the Ministry of Health's best kept secret. And whatever you answer, well, it's only because Jack Warner, and that's why they give him best treatment. Yeah, well, I can speak personally that my aunt experienced that same level of quality service in the Arima hospital. No wait time. She didn't have to sit down there for 5, 6, 10 hours as all they like to complain. Right? As soon as she was sent over from the old department to the new one, took care of her one time. All the tests and everything. Put her on her bed. Right? Put her on her bed. Thanks to who? But to continue that requires money. Where do we get the bulk of our money from to do that? The energy sector. And I keep asking, tell me one thing that Kevin Ramnarine, one gas deal that Kevin Ramnarine and Kamala Persad-Bissessar negotiated that we could point to and say today, we get an X amount of standard cubic feet of gas because of what Kevin Ramnarine did. Or because of what Kamala Persad-Bissessar did. Tell me. Not one. But in 3 years' time, in 2027, I could say we're getting 2.7 trillion cubic feet of gas from Manatee. We're getting how many 4 trillion feet of gas from Dragon. We're getting how much 1 trillion cubic feet from Manikin Kokina. Not because of anything Kevin Ramnarine did, or because of anything Kamala Persad-Bissessar did, or David Lee did. It's because of what Stuart Young did, for which he gets no thanks. And when you call for thanks, you know what they will say? But that is his work. He's the Minister of Energy. That's what he's supposed to be doing. So what are we thanking him for? But why Kevin Ramnarine didn't do that? That was his work too. So he didn't do it. Why he couldn't do it since that is his work? Because his work. And even what it is that they criticize the fact that when the minister is speaking to Maduro and stuff, they have an issue with that. And these people probably saying their prayers every morning and every night, hoping that the Dragon gas deal fall through because they figure that could help the PNM. But we see Shell, the vessel is already out there doing its surveys and mapping to see where the pipeline should pass. So they're moving speedily, you know. They're making sure we get our OFAC license for 2 years. We are going to use that because that OFAC license, the expanded one, I think is supposed to expire next year, October next year. So Shell moving at pace to put the infrastructure in place to make sure come 2027 we're in a good place. We're in a good place. But no kudos for Stuart Young for that. He says something of mine disrespectful, and for that he should resign as minister. I'm surprised they didn't call for him to resign as the member of parliament for Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's, West as yet. Surprised. But when Stuart Young out there pushing pan for carnival, he out there with his school children, right? Taking time off so he could go up in the savannah in the hot sun, greet the children, and pushing pan with them. When he there with his band of choice, I can't remember if it's Despas or Renegades, whichever one he supported, and he there with them, head on head, right? Where Kamala Persad-Bissessar? When last her constituents have seen her? You ever see her pushing pan? Or even she about 10 panorama? If she does, she ought to be upstairs in the VIP lounge. Copious amounts of liquor. And the best food. Stuart Young about that. He down on the ground with the people. Sit down up in VIP. I know about her life. He out on the drag. Right out on the greens. Meeting with the people, talking with the people, and pushing pan, sweating. While it is others want to be sitting on high up in air conditioning in the VIP lounge in NCC upstairs. Best food and best drinking at time with that. He down here with the people. No kudos for that. When it is that you're there in the hot sun, walking his constituency and meeting with the people, hearing their problems and doing the best that he can to fix what he could. No kudos for that. Fire him. And bring who? That is why it's so difficult to get good people to serve in the parliament. People who are selfless, not selfish, who not going there for what they could get. Who not going there because they want the Pope to be able to buy the most expensive vehicle and get tax exemptions. Who not going there because they could be called honorable. So when they walk in a room, everybody had to stand up. Stuart Young, it's about that. And I could speak to that based on my own interactions with the man. Right? And so it has not, I am not coming here to defend him because I have interacted with the man. I recall the first interaction I had with Stuart Young. The St. Mary's College Past Students Union asked me to reach out to him back in 2021, I think it was, when schools were still closed because of the COVID and so on, and the Form 1s were coming in, and we decided that we wanted to ask some of our accomplished alumni to do videos, short videos, talking about their time at St. Mary's College and the impact that would have had on their choice of profession and all of these different things. And because I didn't know that I talk for the PM and so on, they asked me if I could reach out to Stuart Young and Gary Griffith and Colman Booth. I said, well, how am I supposed to do that? But I didn't tell them that. I was on radio back at that time, so I thinking, well, okay, I could just ask Sharon Felix to reach out to him for me because she could do that. But then I remembered, a couple years prior, remember Devan Maraj was sharing all these cell phone numbers of ministers in the public on social media, saying, well, call them. And I remember when he had published Stuart Young's number, I said, I wonder if this is really Stuart Young's number. Let me save it and see. And I went into WhatsApp, and sure enough, I saw Stuart Young's profile picture. I said, well, okay, this is it. I said, you know what, let me send him a message. Just to see. Stuart Young ain't know me from nowhere, never met me. I never met him. I only see him on television. Sent him a message, explaining to him what it is we were looking for him to do. In the space of 10 minutes, he responded. He don't know me. My number, this is just a message he gets show up on a number that he doesn't know. 10 minutes he responded. Consider it done. It would be a privilege. Then he asked me to just indicate my name and so on. And then from there, we started to exchange information and whatnot, telling him what it is we were looking for. And he was able to facilitate. In 10 minutes, he responded to me. I sent to other people whose name I would not call today. It's still unread. 3 years later, no response. That is the nature of the man. So when you all want to focus on one isolated incident to throw him under the bus, I know about that life. Because I know a different person. Right? I have seen him at the W Mera constituency meeting, that when they had the constituency conference, and he was the lead speaker, feature speaker. And I saw Mr. Young interacting with people at the PNM's September affair. Mr. Young was walking the room, going from table to table, greeting people who he never met, who even know him, and that's the nature of the man. Right? But he's only human. Some of you will say the worst of things about Kamala, but all you're vexed because he said that. The worst of things. And she forgave Jack Warner, who said the very same things about her and worse. But she forgave him. She embraced him. Jack is your boy. She embraced Gary Griffith, who told us about the 5-day weekends and all of these different things, right? The former chauffeur of Glenn Ramadan Singh. Maybe one of these days I'll play that recording for you all, where he was being interviewed and he was saying he'd okay if they sue him because he had long to live or whatever. And he spoke about those issues, those things, claims. When it is that the page went missing from the visitors book at the Prime Minister's residence while she was there. Why the page? Because they didn't want to see who came in. We heard about people who was hiding in the back of the Prado and all of that. Yeah, she liquored up. So go in and fix up. We heard all of these things. Did she sue anybody? Threatened to sue Jack Warner. Avalanche of lawsuits after the election. Election came. Did we get the avalanche? No, we got a snowflake. She sued him for some claim he made about she had some $20 million in some bank in Japan or something like that. But all the things he said night after night, telling us about her preferences and so forth. Not one lawsuit did she ever bring. Why was that? Why was that? But all you want to kill Stuart Young because he say whatever. But you had no problem, Samuel had no problem going on and giving Warner how much thousands of votes in 2020, right? When he challenged Marvin Gonzalez. But he had no problem with that. And you received rousing applause when it is he talk that chopped talk about referring to Marvin as he, as she, and who. Well, we'd be okay with that. Be okay with that. But we wouldn't call on her to apologize for foisting Arnold Roberts again on the citizenry of this country. Arnold Roberts should be nowhere near the political landscape in this country. But that is when you only have the lagoon, the murky lagoon to draw from. Not gonna do. You have no choice. It is what it is. Look at the time. One more thing to touch on, and then let me open that line. There are certain people who hold certain offices who need to understand that there are certain things they need to stay away from and keep quiet. Right? Understanding the position that you hold. Page 9 of today's Express. Seepersad, evil bullies in courts, even Parliament. The actions of bullies are evil, and they may be found in offices, communities, courts, and even in the Parliament. This from High Court Justice Frank Seepersad, as he delivered the feature address at the Diwali celebration at the Sri Ganesh Mandir in Penal on Friday night. Seepersad said the concept of evil was broad as it was expansive and took many forms such as stealing and infliction of control and oppression. The actions of bullies, quoting him here, are evil, and they are not confined to our schools. They are also adults in offices with nice titles who think they have the right to break the spirits of others so they can feel better about their miserable lives. In our republic, we actively see bullies within our communities, our courts, and even in our parliament, where very recently, disappointing, degrading, and disgraceful comments were issued. Bullying is fostered by insecurity, intolerance, and a lack of respect. He said children model the behavior which they see. The outlook for the future does not augur well when those who ought to know better behave poorly, use crass language, and perpetuate divisive dogmas. Words matter, actions have consequences, and a no-tolerance approach needs to be engaged. Seepersad said women have been attacked from time immemorial, just as the Hindu sacred book's teachings on the attempts by Ravan to defile Sita. And at this moment, it appears that the evil of domestic and gender-based violence is strangling this nation, and this is not a police, court, or government problem. It is a we problem, and to overcome this evil, a multifaceted approach is required. Justice Seepersad, this is not the first time that you have entered into the political guile, right? Who are the bullies you're referring to in the court? Who are the bullies? I just asking. Since you put it out there, who are the bullies in the court? Your domain. That is your domain. That's where you operate. I'm just asking. Is reference being made to the head of the judiciary, the CJ, or who? Who? When you talk about the parliament, who are the bullies in parliament? Tell us now. Justice Seepersad needs to remember that as a judge, he must always seem to be impartial. And when you make statements that may come across as, even if you feel you want to comment as a citizen, you need to remember your station in society. And that commenting as a citizen, even as a private citizen, which you're not, it could be perceived as being biased. It could be perceived as you being preferential to a particular party. And therefore, persons who do not support that party in coming before you can have concerns with respect to the ability for them to get a fair hearing. Now, you might argue the case and say, well, yeah, but he doesn't know who is PNM or who is UNC. Okay. Suppose Stuart Young goes back into private practice and decides, and he has a case that comes before him. Can Stuart Young expect to get a fair hearing, given the utterances of Justice Seepersad? These are the things these guys, you're supposed to be bright. Men and women of letters. Average citizens like myself shouldn't have to tell you these things. Give your speech, but understand that there are ramifications, and especially when it is that the media, you will go to this event, you give a whole lengthy speech, and the media chooses to circle and to focus on that aspect of your speech. Everything else that you said was lost But that, the media heard that part, and they gave us the clip, which you meant you speaking about that. And they pronounced on that. And then they felt to put it in the newspaper too. Now, mind you, I read this in the Express, but it was CNC3 that covered, and CNC3 is the Guardian. CNC3 showed that last night, the clip. So it's, at least 2 media houses are focused on his statements. You are a judge. People need to know if I come before this person, I expect fairness. I expect that if a matter should come before you that might involve the government or involve the PNM, because you know the UNC love to sue, that if it is a request is made for freedom of information request is made and the government, it is denied and the matter comes before you, that your judgment would be fair. I don't want to think that you make a judgment finding in favor of the UNC because of statements you've made in the past which might suggest that that is where your allegiance lies. Okay? Time and place. If it is that you want to make statements like that as a private citizen, well, step down from the bench. Go back into private practice. Of course, you're going to have to wait 10 years, but it is what it is. But if you want to remain on the bench and want to at least give the impression that you're impartial, so avoid those situations. It's not the first time, it's not the second time. Come on, man. Come on, man. We already know you had an issue with Julia Davy, with things that were said on her program, and then you're looking to get your security detail beefed up because people calling you a racist and they all kind of thing and whatnot and stuff. Come on, man. We don't need that. Common sense make before book. You can't figure them thing out. 7701763. I tell you. I guess I'm more in there. Oh, 1 second, John. Let me just change this here. Jenny. Hello.
Hey, Dominic.
Yeah, Jen, go ahead. Jenny, go ahead.
Hi, Dominic.
Hey, Jen.
To you and all those who love and tune into Facts or Stubborn Things. I just want to put on the record that I'm kind of disappointed in the comments made by the Speaker of the House in terms of speaking about misogynistic and homophobic in regards to the comment made by Minister Stuart Young. So let's I could understand that. But when you say misogynistic and homophobic, to a word that describes an act that all we in the Caribbean know means 2 women in a sexual relationship with. There was no condemning or personalization of the person who is involved in the act. It was simply saying this person going and take part in this act. So I don't see how that could be degrading, because then you're telling me if you were to see a man and woman going to have sex, then you say that's something degrading they're saying about them. So I think she was reaching in her comments. But what I wanted to know, for years, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and Minister Stuart Young has been subject to misandry from Arnold Roberts and the others. Because when you continue to call Minister Stuart Young small pill, you're not only speaking about him, you're speaking about the conversation we have in our space when you speak about Chinese men. So when you spoke that small pill, you weren't only talking to Minister Stuart Young, you were ascribing your comment to a whole ethnic group. Isn't that misandry? Isn't that degrading? Isn't that something which is deplorable and disgusting behavior by Anna Roberts? And then when you speak about women, Dr. Nayan Gaspi, and keep talking about pum pum and only brought Dr. Rolly White and all that, isn't that misogyny? When you call the president, the first human president in this country, Inspector Jackass, for describing her in those terms, wasn't that degrading and misogynic? What was the word again?
Yeah, misogynistic.
Oh, Lord. God. But all they know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And this whole thing of homophobic. I think the people who have a problem with the word Zami, they are the ones who are homophobic. They are the ones who practice misandry, and they are the ones who practice misogyny. And I will leave it at that. I want to go on to the Honorable Frank Seepersad. Sir, stay on the bench and have a comment, because it clearly shows, he would have read and told you when he was on Miss Davies' case, that you're not above criticism when you make decisions as a judge. But now you want to come in the public space and talk about it again. Why is this word Zamien so offensive to you? And I guess it's because you all don't like to hear the truth. Because all it wasn't offending, not to my knowledge, when Jack Warner is the one who started this conversation. You all didn't seem to be offended by it. And has been spoken in the Parliament. Okay, let's go with that for a minute. Let's forget about the off mic and the on mic, right? Then Vanilla Allen Tuppet stood before our Parliament in front of the whole world to see, before a mic in a debate, when there was a motion to vote against, I think, Dr. T. Christopher Rowley, if I'm not mistaken, that was removed as the opposition leader. And in her presentation that was signed and sealed and approved by the UNC, and Kamala Prasad, the Prime Minister, stood up there in front of the world and told us that Dr. Rowley's dead father raped his dead mother. He is a child of rape. He himself grew up to be a rapist, and then he would in turn gang rape a girl. What was more dangerous, degrading, misogynistic, misandry, defaming, libelous than that? Where was the voices? Where was the Frank Seepersad's Honorable? And all who talking about the Kojos and all who talking, where were they? But it's quite okay that the face of anger and the face of crime in the face of African man, so they let that slide. So now we have Minister Stuart Young, who does not look like us. He's of mixed heritage, Indian and Chinese. In an off-mic situation, he would have said what he said in the back and cross-talk. And the only thing they hold on to is she going to the toilet exam. But they hold on to the part where Dr. Devan Maraj went and made a formal report to the police that said a certain UNC person uses PTSD buses in kind of prostitution and human trafficking. They didn't hear that part that Minister Young say, you know. They didn't hear when he say the PTSD buses can use again, something that effect, they're bringing them straight here. They hold on to that, but they hold on to Zambian. And I see the people hold on to Zambian was only homophobic. Because that is a word we use in the Caribbean when we speak about two women together involved in sexual act. In Zambian, we don't say. Let me be real about it. Right? I'll continue again. This situation has brought up something to me that I'd forgotten. Mrs. Mary McDonald, God rest her soul, was accused of the same thing Jack Warner accused Kamala Prasad of. In fact, she was charged for it, according to layman terms, using taxpayers' money to further empower and enrich some man she was with, any family or friend or something like that. I'm going low language, I ain't bothered to nice it up. Right? That was what she was charged for. Some kind of Calabar house or something. So they said, well, she managed it to own it and running the foundation, and she was cycling taxpayers' money to that organization. And based on whatever come out of that, she was charged on 7 counts of criminal charges, right? Now we look at Kamala Prasad Bissessa. Jack Warner would have said the same thing about her. He said that she would have used taxpayers' money to enrich she girlfriends and them, and he called names. So it's good for Marley McDonald to be arrested and charged for taking taxpayers' money allegedly to support Shiman. But it ain't nothing wrong with Kamala Prasad Bissessa allegedly, based on what Jack Warner said, taking taxpayers' money to get Shiman. You see what this place is a dangerous place? And that's why I'm holding on to. I want to know if what Jack Warner says is true, that Kamala, who involved allegedly by he saying so involved in Zambian with woman or a particular woman, did she take taxpayers' money and give it to this woman who she was in Zambian with? That's why I want to know. We're interested in the words I'm here. That's not my business, like people business. And like show talk, we'll show talk. We'll talk about brush, we'll talk about all kind of things. When you sit on the rum shop, you sit on the pavement, whoever that they talk with us. Some of my people feel so offended. Some of them will be watching little girls passing by when they're lying in as man and watching she boobs and watching she think they play this most holier and so. I call it for that foolishness. I want to know whether or not where the case is with regards to the PTSD buses being used for prostitution, human trafficking, as Dr. Deva Moraj would have gone to the police with evidence against. I want to know whether or not Jack Warner would have come out and said more than once in public spaces that Kamala is involved with a female in an intimate relationship, and by extension, she was taking taxpayers' money to give to that individual. I want to know if those things are true. Me interested in that stupid talk and that stupid line that he told me. And finally, I hope people understand that the General Council would have voted unanimously, meaning nobody disagreed to the Prime Minister saying there will be no internal elections this year. It has been either cancelled or postponed. So there was no dissenting voice. There was no abstention as far as I heard. It was a collective agreement. So if it is conversation to try to retract me with Stuart person, thoughts and all that, that's stupid talk. Because that would have been a topic in the General Council would have whatever voting against and so on, all that. That was no. There's a collective and a togetherness going forward to fight this election for 2025. Yes, people will have their personal agendas and ambitions. That is human being. But at the end of the day, it's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is this, is that the People's National Movement wins resoundingly in 2025, so that when they go to the Parliament to have any laws or legislation passed in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, that the opposition don't have enough seats to cause no problem so in this country could go ahead, because we have the Dragon coming, we have all the different gas deals that Minister Stuart Young, along with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, will have negotiated, and as you rightly said, nobody was able to bring those contracts into reality. Minister Young and Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley was able to do that. And we want to be able that our children and our children, Kamala grandchildren, and all them who talk in children and grandchildren, be able to enjoy what will come from those contracts. Getting UNC back in office is a big mistake. It will take us to the IMF. They can't negotiate nothing. They don't have the experience, they don't have the skill. They can't talk to no leader on any level at all. So all they do, all they're doing, and they get caught up in this stupid thing about Stuart against Foster and Foster against Stuart. That is irrelevant. Because internal elections for those posts, political leader, chairman, and general secretary is next year. So even if it had an internal election this year, those posts wasn't up for grabs. So the conversation ends right there for me. Nick, have a blessed weekend. Have a blessed week ahead, and bless to all who are tuning in locked on. Bye.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Don, how are you, my darling?
I am good.
Let me start with prayer first and foremost. Thank you, Father, for this nation, Trinidad and Tobago. God, we are first fruit, covenant-keeping nation. God, I bless this land of our birth. The land you have called us to live for a plan and your purpose. God, come your kingdom and be done your will. In no other name but Jesus' name. The double standards of the dance is amazing. Arabas degraded for the May weeks. He degraded for the week's mother. He degraded Mrs. Sharon Rowley and her children. But nothing has been said about that. Why is that? Cannabis successor came against every African person in this nation and the Caribbean. Because Jamaica and every other island family went through the horror and the evil of slavery. Kamala carried the Caribbean to Mandela's funeral Can you tell us why you waste so much money? Because you did that, but you came against Kami Robinson Regis. Explain to me, make it make sense. Why do you hate PM Rowley? What has he done to you? Make up your mind, pick a side. Because Rodney Childs, African name. Julian John, slave master name. Wade Mark, slave master's name. Token Indian Spangler. And how can they sit there and support racism? Racism is another name for bullies. A bully is a racist. A racist is a bully. David Nackhead, do not talk about anybody else because your mouth is a gutter. You and Al Roberts have the same gutter mouth. You don't have no shame. You have no choice to correct anybody. So back in the corner and rest your laurels. And let's Dragon Valley. They're against it. Who will suffer? The whole nation will suffer as a whole. Not PNM or UNCF. We have one flag. We have one name. We have one parliament. We have one constitution. Your hate will be your death. But the PNM party will be blessed. I choose to bless my party. I choose to bless Mr. Rowley, his family, and every member. Stuart Young and everybody. The party have no division. They have one vision. That vision is seeing our country prosper. And the venom of hate and the poison of hate will be the final lady in the UNC coffin. Damagon, have a good day, be blessed, thank you.
You too, thank you. 770-1763. See. Diana saying the speaker must remember when we had to come to her defense when the UNC all but lynched her during the Electoral College to vote for president in 2023. Then during the no confidence motion in her speaker brought by the UNC in 2023, a choice of words when she admonished Minister Young made me raise my eyebrows. And as I said yesterday on the barbershop, I felt the speaker's admonition of Minister Young was unnecessarily harsh. Unnecessarily harsh. You can finally use the word reprehensible, but to go down to the point of despicable and all of that, and then anyway. Brian.
Good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
I am good.
Nice, nice. Well done yesterday morning.
Thank you.
Dominic, I'll tell you something, and this is some of the things I hope people listened, and I hope people looked at the news last night, as I did. When I saw Justice Frank Seepersad and I listened to his comments, his biased commentary, people have to understand why it is they need to vote in a particular way come next year. If people did not see it, go back and pull it up and look at it and listen to his comments and understand that if this gentleman gets anywhere near an appeal court or the seat of Chief Justice, where this country is going to end up. Because he has a clear bias. As his colleague once said, he overreaches. You go to a Diwali celebration, and your comments are all political, are clear bias, and speaking of using words like evil. We as a people have to be careful and look at other persons and realize that they are in a position to achieve certain things if the UNC gets into office. We already have a bias from the journalists, from the weekly, the daily papers and so on. What do you think will happen when these kind of people get into seriously high positions and positions where they can do particular things without being questioned? Ask yourselves where Frank Seepersad could be if UNC wins elections next year. And what will happen to us in this country? Look at how long certain cases taken to even really begin and come to a conclusion as far as certain people on that side of the fence is concerned. What do you think is going to happen when people like Frank Seepersad and they, who are clear bias, if the UNC gets into office? Look at these words, how vile they were. It is shocking to me, but I hope some of his colleagues would have heard him and understand the clear and present danger that he possesses and leave him right where he is. It is important that we win this election to ensure that Frank Seepersad never attains those high echelons of power and authority in Trinidad and Tobago, because it will be woe beyond to us. Some word to the eyes. So I'm like, you know, I spoke to a particular individual, and we spoke for about at least an hour. You know the person.
Mm-hmm.
And we were betting each other, but funny enough, we were betting on the same thing, because we both believed and we both knew that this Stuart Young issue was going to continue and will not stop for a while. Look at how long this is going on. When it's supposed to be done and dusted, because it has been cleared up in the Parliament where it began, and it is done there. But no, there are people out there who want to massage this until there's nothing more to massage. And there will be swings left, right, and center, all because of the madness going on the next side. They want to attempt to show that there's something going on the PNM side. So therefore, they're going to have this Stuart Young against Foster Cummins, and all of these little conspiracies with the turn up. We know that. We are aware. After all that the righteousness of this man has done for us, things that if he didn't do it and they hadn't showed us that, hey, listen, this is what is going on, this is what is happening, we would not have believed it was ever possible. Because when the UNC was there, they couldn't do anything even near it. They didn't know what to do. I tell some people calling Ram Narayan an energy expert and giving commentary like if he so knows what is going on and making excuses for the successes of Stuart Young, which respects to all of these deals with the Venezuelans and Chipson around the world for the benefit of we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I tell some people talking about, he should be removed as Minister of Energy. I want people to understand what has been done for him to attain those heights that he has reached for us, we the people. People who he will never ever begin to know, but just that they are Trinbagonians. People who will never ever attain those heights for years to come. And he is still working because there's more to come. There's a lot more to come. It's 200 trillion scuff some gas across in Venezuela, and he's working on it even now. He could have given up the good to say, me, I'm able to do all of that for you, too bad, forget that. But he's working according to his position and the oath he took to represent we, the people. And that word that was used is a word that all of us use since we little boys. Sammy, it's a word we've been using for years. What is the issue? And it was not to say it was used in an official discussion in the Parliament. It is not in Hanson. And I see this thing continue on one particular station, Dominic. What you believe? I listened because I knew it would happen. We played that 7 o'clock news, 8 o'clock news, 12 o'clock news, 4 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news for an entire week. Last week. But this is a new week. For an entire week, every time they brought up an issue pertaining to that, they played. In its entirety. But nobody, as you rightly say, is talking about patriotic energies and the false documents. With the $1.5 billion to buy a refinery, and they never got. Nobody is talking about that. One day, and that was the end of that. Because why? It's not the TNM. It's the UNC and what you name, Ansel Roger. Fraud! Out and out fraud! They would have massaged it, they would have massaged it to the bitter end and demanded that something happened. But you see it on the other side. And this is what we have to understand and realize and recognize at the end of the day. That if we don't take cognizance of what is going on and who are against us, and it was amazing about this whole thing. Many of those who are against us look just like you and me, Dominic. And I want to believe a simpleton like me could see and understand. You think they're not seeing and understand? So therefore I must ask the question, what's in it for them? What have they been promised? What have they been promised by Pushwati? What have they been promised? Because you see, everybody have a little something, a little piece of baggage. Many of them have a little piece of baggage. And they're dependent upon her to get in there and stop certain things from happening and or ensure that they're given certain positions of authority. Is that what it is? We have to be careful and we have to be mindful of these things. Because that day of reckoning is coming, Dominic. It is coming. Whether you could jump high, you could jump, we can't go backward.
Correct.
We go forward into 2025. And that day is coming. And we have to understand that this is not a joke. We can't play lazy. We can't play foolish. We can't look for no excuse why we are voting. We can't be angry at stupidness. Only to realize that we have given it all away. We have given away our jewels. The people who don't give a damn about us. Murders left, right, and center. But 2 people from down south get chopped up. And the insult prince is now talking about death penalty. All these people getting murdered on the east-west corridor, I hear one word from him. Or 2 chop up. I mean, sad as it is. Very, very sad. But all of a sudden, he don't want death penalty. All of a sudden, you don't want death penalty. Thousands of Africans lying up and under the ground, raising daisies. You ain't say nothing. But 2 chop. And you're talking about death penalty? People look, listen, and understand what it is we are facing. Get your people together. Ask people Ask your friends, ask your family, are you signed up to vote? Dominic, you see what is happening in America, especially in Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
They are voting by over 300,000 a day. 300,000 a day, Dominic. They have already started to vote, especially in Georgia. And when you look at the lines, what you seeing? Because they understand the program. We have to understand the program too. And keep these thieves and corrupt individuals who don't give a damn about Trinidad and Tobago out of political office and out of the treasury. And let them face the consequences of their actions whenever it comes. Dominic, have a good day.
You too, sir. To James on YouTube. There is no SABGA report, sir, about Akil Chambers. The SABGA report was 1997 and Akil Chambers was 1998. So unless Mr. Sabga was a seaman, unless Mr. Sabga was he had a crystal ball, I don't see how he could write anything about Akil Chambers in 1997 when Akil Chambers happened in 98. All right? But you see, that is when you all are uninformed, don't do your research, and come to talk propaganda, pushing things you know nothing about. That's the problem right there, you know. That is the problem right there. Mr. Chance.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good day, sir.
Let me commend you highly for your interview on Saturday.
Thank you.
The John and John show on 95.5. I thought it was classic. I thought it was very, very destructive. And I want to encourage you to, as far as possible, if you get on there, to treat it a matter of questions and answer.
Yes.
Because I think we get much more out of you when when that is done. And so they did an excellent job. And I thought you covered the topics well done.
Thank you.
Today, I want to join Brian. I want to join Brian on getting to the focal point. Because after all of this old talk and all kind of things, there's going to come a time when you have to make a decision, you know. And that is about Putin. Jenny called it Assignment 2025. Let me just tell you, my daughter lives in Georgia. And you know, she said, Daddy, we're not voting for perfection, you know. We're voting for the better option. You hear that? We're not voting for perfection. It's the same thing as saying that the PNM is not perfect. But you have to understand the option. This is what life is all about.
Yes.
You have to make choices based on the options that are available to you. And I want to tell the media at the same time, you're not going to distract us, you know. You think you will carry us into some kind of illusion that you feel there's something going on in the PNM. No, nothing is going on. There's a distinguished institution that has demonstrated itself over more than 60 years. We are focusing on the UNC, the kleptocrats, the thieves and bandits and crooks there, and all the other satellites that take punch visits at the government. And today, like the others, I want to talk about Frank Seepersad and another fellow called Vishnu Raghunath. Tuesday, I'll talk about Kojo. Let me talk to Frank Seepersad. A lot of things has been said, and I just want to anchor some other things too. Just like Brian said, and I think Jenny as well. Since Frank Seepersad, Justice Frank Seepersad, feels he can leave the court of law and jump into the court of public opinion, sir, I hope your skin thick, eh? I hope you remember you told somebody that they must have thick skin. But since you jump in this Gael, I hope your skin thick. Real thick, because it's real war, you know. We're not making joke with the treasury, sir. Anybody who come out there and give a shadow of something, we come in at you very hard to jump into there. You jump into the political guile, sir. And I want to ask you something, sir. Do you have plans to get into politics at some time, sir? Huh? Why I'm asking that, sir? I remember a learned judge left the judiciary and jumped into politics. Yes, there's precedents in this country, you know, sir. He left and jumped into it, came with a snake, sir. And that's why I'm asking you that, sir. Sir, are you lobbying for a job as Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago, sir? If God forbid, the people brain go in a coma, And they place Kamala Prasad in government. I'm asking a question, sir. I'm not making a statement. Are you lobbying for the position of Chief Justice, sir? So we have to ask you these hard questions, because we feel that some of your comments are tantamount to moving us away from the protection of our treasury, and we're going to guard that very jealously, sir. Very, very jealously, sir. Sir, as you jump out yourself, I want you to remember, when you put on your robe and go back in another place, we have some concerns, sir. We don't know how you could separate yourself, sir. When you put on that robe and you go into the other place, sir, as a citizen, I will have some concerns. You have to be very careful. But since you jump into the Gael and you continue to jump into the Gael, be prepared to see plenty blows, sir. You're going to have licks there like rain. We want to protect our treasury. Now let me go to Vishnu Raghunath. Dr. Vishnu Raghunath, the man who talks about equity and equality, all those fancy words. Yeah, Dr. Vishnu Raghunath, it's the same thing like you, Sir, when you leave the University of the West Indies, are you expecting, if, as I said, God forbid, the UNC gets the power to be named a UNC senator, sir, are you practicing? Yellow, Is it that, sir? I'm asking questions, sir. Is it that you're trying to say to the UNC, look, you see my pen is yellow and the tongue also yellow too. I see you jump into the guy here too, sir. Yeah? It's your whole self according to the grandson. You say, Grandpa, don't forget that. Tell them to jump into with the whole self. You jump into with your whole self into the guy here, sir. Well, as I said, you have to take some licks, sir. Because when you jump in there, the jumping is licks all over, sir. So I have some questions for you, sir. Sir, I have some questions for you pertaining to your doctoral degree, sir. Sir, and I want to be very specific, Was there a challenge put before you, sir, when you presented your thesis for your doctoral degree, sir? You have to defend your doctoral degree. People are listening. When you do it for your doctorate, you have to defend it. You have to put up a paper, a thesis. And the others, the people who will challenge it, will challenge aspects of it. And I'm asking him, sir, was there a challenge with respect to plagiarism when you were defending your doctoral degree, sir? I'm asking, sir. I don't know. I'm asking for a friend, sir. Was there a challenge with respect to plagiarism? Was that challenge related to a very honest and distinguished gentleman from Tunapuna called Dr. Lloyd Bester? Was the challenge there? Was it that perhaps you used certain words that were originated or original to the thesis of Dr. Best, and you did not give him his due credit, sir? Yes, I'm asking, sir, because you see, when you jump into the jail and you believe you have a pro punch, what any light come to that? You have to resolve that, sir. You have to resolve and clear up those things, sir. The questions I'm asking you, let me repeat, these are questions, sir. Was there a challenge, sir? Was there a challenge with plagiarism? And plagiarism really is using some kind of information that's not yours and not giving credit to the person who had it. And there are serious concerns about, I would imagine you would have defended it and so on, and now you have your doctorate. But I want to ask you a question, sir. So when you jump out with your whole self and start to throw blows and insinuate certain things in Trinidad and Tobago, when you have a lot of glass house, put that stone, sir. Because stone coming back in your glass house, sir. And we're not making joke, we're very robust, we are the people on the ground, sir. We are protecting the treasury, sir. Because we know in the next couple of years, as Brian and all of us have said, we expect a bonanza. And we want to be very sure that whatever is said in the public domain does not encourage the people or influence the people, the media and all satellites like you all, to take this country back to kleptocrats. And sir, as a man in the university, you know what a kleptocrat is. A government official is a thief. And so there's another person who was in the heart and bowels of the UNC who told us they thief in money as though they invented it. They thief in money as though they right to thief. You hear that, sir? She was in the middle. Let me repeat it for you, sir. That is why we are concerned of what will happen to the treasury, sir. McCandle Beggar said they thief in money as though they invented it. He didn't stop there, you know. He said they thief in money as though it is their right to thief. Sir, we have to protect the treasury for our children going forward, sir. And that is why we are now allowing any political scientists, so-called, and political activists. I refer to them as political activists. Some of them, the media give them the title of political analysts. Well, they are all political UNC activists in my view. And that is why we will continue to challenge them because they now jump into the political guile. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you so much, sir. Always on point. Let me get this here. Althea, your guess is as good as mine. I was not invited to that meeting. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hi, good man. Can't complain.
Yeah. Nice intervention today and so on.
Yes.
Also, and good afternoon to all the viewers of the podcast. I want to jog people's memory for a bit. Recall the Sunday before general election in Mr. Rouge had a video and where he listed all the details of the party that was in power then and why we should not re-elect them and so on. I acquaintances with what he was in a net of his, and I shared that video with the person. They sent it to him. And the person sent back his response, which I will now read for you and the person to educate them on the thinking of these people and how and why what Mr. Khan said, what Brian said and what Jenny said is so important. So this is Mr. Roche in response, right? Good morning, and I quote, "Good morning. While that is also true that we were against the UNC, people still had their jobs, prices were lower, there were not so many murders, the economy was doing much better, the energy sector was doing much better, gas prices were down, out, independent institutions were not attacked, tampered with, and bullied. I can go on and on. Our personal safety and survival for the future of our country and our children's future, we have to make a change. Even though they may be similar, clearly the evidence will clearly show that things are now even much worse under the PNM. And 5 more years under them will totally decimate the country. They must be stopped at all costs before it's too late. PNM had 9 years and they have failed miserably, leading to chaos. Give somebody else a chance, even if it is UNC. End quote. And I say that to just point out, if that doesn't scare people of how lost these gentlemen are, then we are truly in trouble. That's what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because if you could say, even if it's the UNC, or about somebody else totally new, like Michaela Pantley, or even hopeless, or God forbid Pepper or the NCA, you want us to go back to what we experienced between 2010 and 2015, and then what you could experience before under a purely UNC administration. We erupted demise in 2002. Come on, man. When moral and spiritual value caused us to have the PNM back into office because the choice Mr. Robinson made then. Wow. You understand? And I just say that to say, for many who want to talk about we suffer and so on, because just this one other conversation with this morning that the people fed up. I say the people fed up and the country doing so poorly. I say yes, 3 series finished this year hasn't finished as yet. But I remember back in the 90s and 80s, series was taking 2, 3, and 4 years, even the early 2000s. Some series were taking about 1.5 years to finish. Here it is, we don't run through clearly and we enter a court right now, but we see in trouble. Right? I just want to say to people like yourself, our friends on I-95, and the few others on 91.9 will continue to sing from the hilltops of what is required going into next year. Right? And for the lost people out there who continue to have faith in anything, people like Telon Kojo, Ralph and others will say, all I can simply say is, you don't have to leave them up to God. Because at the end of the day, he is the final arbiter. And he is the one who will make people bow to the knees and realize the folly of their ways. But he is the one who can bring us all home to him and his glory. Thank you for the opportunity, brother, and let's continue the good work. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Views there now. Justice Frank Seepersad criticized recent comments made by the member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West in Parliament as he called on people to take a stand against bullying, domestic violence, and other forms of evil in society. He was delivering the feature address at a Diwali function at the Shir Ganesh Mandir in Penal on Friday. Noting that Diwali symbolizes good over evil, he says bullying does not only take place in the schools, but in many other places, including courts and the Parliament.
There are also adults in offices with nice titles who think that they have the right to break the spirit of others so they can feel better about their miserable lives. In our republic, we actively see bullies within our communities, our courts, and even our parliament.
Seepersad says it also appears that the evil of domestic and gender-based violence is strangling this nation.
We must embark upon gender sensitization programs aimed at resetting entrenched misogynistic attitudes, and we must reject the objectification of our nation's women. Support systems are also vital.
Seepersad says stringent sanctions must be imposed on domestic violence offenders. Today, the People's National...
Miserable lives? Really? Who have a miserable life, Justice Seepersad? Who you talking about? Okay. All right. Strong words there coming from a judge. Are we supposed to have confidence? All right. All right. All right. Let's go. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic.
Lord Father. Leave it there.
What's going on?
All is well.
Look at boy. Let me say good afternoon to my sis. Sis, good afternoon. She don't miss your program, you know, Dominic.
I'm aware, yes. She need to take your phone.
Dominic. Look, Dominic, I think I run away from Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
I'm up in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dominic, you listen to Julia Davies' first rant?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You didn't listen to it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was one of them was on your page. So if one of them was on your page, you had to listen to the first one.
Okay.
Dominic, back in the days, I used to tell Aisha, the people who was there for Dr. Rowley in the trenches, when he came in power, he left those people by the wayside. Look, Aisha. Dominic, look, Aisha. Look, Benoit. I used to call for Dr. Rowley to put Benoit in the Senate. Back in the days, PNM supporters used to call on Dr. Rowley to put Benoit in the Senate. Look, Benoit. He fixed a bag of people where and do squat for the PNM. He put this one on board, that one on board, this one on committee, next one on committee. And the people who was there for him, he left them by the wayside. Dominic, he go come back to haunt Dr. Rowley. Trust me what I tell you. I will leave it there.
Yes, leave it there. Well, I will continue to say whenever you all raise topics like that, do not speak about what you do not know. Because there are people who got stuff and they don't come out on social media to say what is what. I know what I know, but I will not speak on that. That is not my place to speak about. But anyway, if you figure, you go right ahead, pal. I keep saying, anyway, stop talking things that all you don't know about, what all you don't know about. Okay? All right. I'll leave that there. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good day, Dominic.
Yes, sir. Greetings.
Yeah, greetings. Long time call. Thing I do wrong with surgery people now. But in Trinidad and the ocean, all of that kind of bullshit place. You know what I'm saying? You come up with self-defense and according to Jenny, take a whole cabinet decision. How do be a cabinet decision? So bring down Dr. Rowley with the scandal with juvenile something said. Now tell me if this is not worse by far to what Stuart Young, yeah? You bring a whole in enrichment. The speaker of the House of Representatives was a biased individual to it because I was Wade Mack. Wade Mack allowed that. And that is why I say I couldn't understand some of the words that Bridget and he said, George, you understand? Not saying that she's supposed to think, but you don't understand. See, I find it a little difficult because she was kind of coming down in a way. I don't know that it wasn't that she stands that Stuart was making a contribution like, oh, you want to take the island, but you understand what I'm saying? So I think she was a little bit, but still. But I want to say something. Within the PNM and with people. Didn't the people of this country, a lot of people say at one time, they want to talk about your thing shiny and this and that and the other,
Yes.
Didn't the PNM, didn't people in this country at one time saying that Dr. Rowley too black to be Prime Minister? You remember that? So what are you telling me now? You understand what I'm saying? I don't understand according to you. Is either the pregnant or they can't be half pregnant because these are the people who talk these kind of rubbish all the time, telling me that Dr. Rowley too black to be Prime Minister. Now you're telling me now that you don't want Stuart Young because he's that time. What do you really mean and say? And what I'm talking about is supposed to be African party, but all of them saying Dr. Rowley too black. What kind of thing is this? These people confused and you know what I mean? Men of letters will be there's the talking these nonsense, plus men of letters hearing these utterances and says nothing. And we talking rubbish each day and continue as you were saying. They continue this whole talk, whole time going down our road with this Stuart Young issue we dealt with already. You understand? Giving it airplay right through. Something really wrong with them, yes, Dominic? Something for I saw it yesterday, I listened to you online. It was really good, as always, and you always edifying the people. And John and John Benoit and Hogan, John Gill, they were like they were glad when you come, So I just say thank you for your contribution. I will listen for you. Take care and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir. You too.
All right.
Jenny.
Yeah, I just want to say it's very curious to me that the judge, Frank Seepersad, the honorable judge, and the honorable Speaker of the House, the opposition leader, members of Parliament of the UNC, all of them speaking about women and the degrading of women and violence against women. I haven't heard any one of them come out and spoken about the 6 women last week. I haven't heard them spoken about the 14-year-old baby Jada and her mother Tara Ramsarup, who was chopped to death with a cutlass, hacked to death by the father, or Laura Sankar, who in front of her son, who was trying his best to help the mother, was chopped to death. These men went there with the cutlasses to do what they do. I hear they coming out and talking about that. I don't know if in the Indian community, if it is acceptable that an Indian woman's fate is to get married to a man, and once there's a domestic violence condition coming out of that she dead by the hands of the husband with the chop up. I don't know if that is the norm, and it's okay because they don't speak about it. But thank God this government had went to court to stop the marriage of little children to a big hardback man, because that might have been another part they would have to endure. But I would like them to come out and speak about the high incidence of when domestic violence happens in the Indian community. It's more commonly ended in murder or homicide, as they say, and it is always by chopping up for the woman. Why don't they speak about that? But only focus on a word Zami, which is just a name for a sex act between 2 women. Nobody ain't killed there, nobody ain't chopped up there. But the domestic violence in our community, and that has me really bothered to this day. None of them touching on that topic at all. It's as if it didn't happen, as if these women's lives meant nothing. But had it been the African community, they would have been all up in with business. I want to tell all of them, go in the community and try to fix the issues. We have issues in our community. Go in our community and address the issue that suicide is 3 times higher in the Indian community than any other community. Try to address those issues, because just last week too, another Indian child committed suicide. They're not talking about that. But they're going to focus on this with Zami and focus on the crime and interest corridor and what African people does do. Let me tell you something, eh? This foolishness needs to stop. We are all human beings at the end of the day. But don't look at we as we the criminal and all the whiter and snow and data crime rampant in the Indian community. It's just like it doesn't be reported in the proper, but now we are seeing it reported. We've seen all the things that the good children that they're doing across the Carney Bridge. But it has always been happening. So my concern again is these women. I'm concerned about domestic abuse in all ethnic groups. But in the Indian community, there's common for the man to chop up the woman, chop off her neck, chop up the children. And they don't say nothing, they remain silent on it. And I wish the Honorable Judge, the Speaker of the House, Kamala Prasad Bissessar, Khadija Amin, and all those who have a problem with the word Zami and think it is degraded. And Mr. John, God, you know the word is a sigh of my tongue. I ain't drinking nothing, so I ain't like Kamala, but you know the word. But just stick, that's the word. I want them to come out and speak about the misogyny that Indian women have to go through in the Indian community, and they seem to have no help for it. Thank you again, Doc.
Thank you, Jen. And again, I see this Express newspaper. Now they post up a question. Their Express reader, who do you think should succeed Dr. Rowley as PNM political leader? Express, keep out of PNM business. Go and ask the UNC that. Who is the heir apparent to Kamala Prasad Bissessar? Look. Anyway. Eric.
Sir, good afternoon to the callers, listeners.
You're late.
Yeah, this program getting difficult to get in, you know. Oh, God. Anyway, once again, after all the listeners, callers, viewers of another segment of Facts After One Things. Now, well, I'm working, so I was kind of in and out and listening to the program, right? I saw on the Guardian today that really have me disturbed. Why the media only want to portray all PNM business that they don't have a clue what is going on in the party? Why the media don't put on the front page Kamala versus Mulilal? Why the media
in asking the opposition leader why she not demitted office after losing 15 elections from since 2015 coming forward. They're not asking that question, but they want to get in PNM business. I want to mind PNM business, right? I want to give this perception that the party have cracks, according to what the leader of the opposition say. Kamla Persad needs to fix her house before talking about anybody else's house, right? It have nobody in that UNC party right now, as we speak, to run the party, far less as Prime Minister to run this country. And people in this country are too damn double standards. Because you need to tell me, all what these people did in 2010, only seen that as a viable option to regain office in 2025. So, in other words, we shouldn't discuss 2010 to 2015. We should just, that 5 years should be eliminated off the face of the earth. That 5 years. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They should be eliminated. Let me chastise PNM from 2015 to 2025. All the faults that the PNM do, right? We don't see the goodness in what the government did for the country. All we're seeing is what the PNM in give or handout or gimme. You understand? This lady, I said she's a worthy of honorable. She don't respect that title, right? And I would have said, she stood on a platform and labeled Dr. Roddy all kind of malice, nastiness, malign the then opposition leader, everything that woman did. Up to this day, she never apologized for what she said. But you realize something, Dominic? Apology is not in their vocabulary. Apology is not in UNC vocabulary, right? And I must commend Minister Young for taking that stance, right? Being the bigger man. Yes, something was uttered, and he take his ownership and come and apologize. That is what a person of integrity does. Kamla and the UNC have no integrity whatsoever. None. For you to have a then Minister of Tobago, whatever thing for the land topping, to come in a parliament and 9 years, almost 10 years later, put on the handstand all what that woman said about Dr. Roddy's late parents. She can't apologize. She can't give a half-baked duck apology. And that was it. The then Prime Minister had come out and issued a statement or a release condemning what Vanilla Ali Toppin said. No. But you have people who want to drag the flag and want to march up and down this country, right? Every July 27th, demanding an apology for the godly lady, not godly, the ungodly lady. Because of what? Stuart didn't say it. It's Jack Warner said it. Jack Warner went on platform multiple times in 2020 and said a lot about that woman called Kamla Persad. She didn't ask to apologize then. Stuart made a little mistake and error in Parliament last week. The whole tongue and country want to come down the throat for one little sentiments. Where's the respect when David Nakin labeled the former president as an insipid what? Jackass. No apology was coming forward then. Where was Eversley then? when Anna Roberts maligned Dr. Rolly wife all over his platforms, how she had extramarital affairs, and she, hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, Eric, we're hearing you.
Oh, because I hear something in the background there. Right? And he maligned Dr. Rolly wife all about. Dr. Rolly wife don't have no part in politics. She's a private person. She doesn't need to be in these non-profit organizations to think. You understand? But you're coming now and you're stating how she have an extramarital affairs and Dr. Rolly getting horn and this and that and the other. So my question to Anna Roberts today, are you going to ask Kevin Salvery, aka Lurbs, to apologize to you for taking the wife? That is my take on it. Will you ask Kevin Salvery, aka Lurbs, to apologize to you for taking the wife? But because clearly you have everything to say about all women what they have between their legs and all man having the crutch. Like all you know on your platform. Right? Or you miss me. Right? Clean on your house first before talk about other people. And as for Frank Seepersad, he is the only judge in this country that I know myself is a UNC judge. He's a biased judge. He's a biased magistrate. That is why all the UNC sycophants and supporters and members of Parliament that run down south, because they know they can get a leeway down there. And I am calling on the Chief Justice to investigate Frank Seepersad, because clearly he has a political agenda in this country. I say anything big. He has a political agenda with the UNC in this country. Right? Until then, stay out of PNM business, Kamla Posabisesa, and the UNC. Mind all your business, 35 dissidents that all what the hand in the square, right? Who now coming out and speaking about country and not party before country. You understand? Talk about that, Kamla Posabisesa. Until then, mind all your beeswax and stay out of PNM business, because we don't meddle all your business. All your business out in the road, by the side of the road, under the road, in the market, all about the place. All your business stink and dirty out there. If PNM have problems, we don't we limit it in the public. We just deal with it behind closed doors. Right? But UNC, when they're hungry, when they're desperate for power, you'll do anything possible to get it. And that's what you're doing right now. And before I close, as Jenny always say, the mission on is 2025. That's the mission. We have to go there and get a significant amount of seats so the government and coming could get things done. You know, you get the one or two we just call them miscreants that want to challenge and want to complain and cry and think because they ain't getting no handout and no foot in mouth feeding. Right? Because, you know, they had Stuart Young say all the constituents in Policy North Sudan say that Stuart Young is not capable of leading the party. That was the headline. So I don't know if the media talking about all the constituents in that area come out and they come out and say how Stuart don't have the tenacity to run the leader at the party. I don't know where they get that from. The UNC Sunday Panchat. But anyway, long story short, people, let's stay focused. Let's continue the fight. It's just 1 year to go. Let's stay focused and let me champion the cause and we get the message out. And for those who following this page and Jenny page and all these other pages, don't just like and follow. Get the message, share the message out to your family, your friends, your co-workers, your acquaintances. Share the information, the correct information. Don't stay down and just keep it and just like and follow.
share Dominic's live, share all the content on the page. Let me get the message out. UNC is not to get back into office, not now, not never, and not even in the future. Good program, Dominic. We go talk.
Thank you, sir. Final call. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
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 Yes, caller, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Hi, Dominic. How are we doing?
I am good.
Yeah, this is Denise Brombo here.
Hi.
I was trying to get in for a while, but my take is Winford James. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Right, Winford James. Such a hypocrite, deceitful individual. He has such a problem with Dr. Rowley. I do not know what is his problem. Right? And what I find with Trinidadians, we are so hypocrites and biased and deceitful. Right? Jack Warner stood up on a public platform, called the opposition leader's name, call Khadijah's name, call the other one name. You know, nobody had a problem with that. And what I'm saying is, Stuart Young did not even mention a name. He said she. So it shows us that the UNC supporters know exactly what the opposition leader does be doing. For them to jump to that conclusion that is she he's speaking about.
Yes.
Because I can't understand if somebody didn't call a name and said she or he. How you know he's referencing the Kamala? You know? And I find Trinidadians, we are too deceitful and hypocrite. And that is something that bothers me. Right?
Yes.
But my family and I, we understand the assignment. Come 2025. Right? And you see the PNM members who always, we ain't get this and we didn't get that. I have a cousin who is living up La Hoqueta there. He was with Foster Cummins. He didn't get some contract, he say, and some nonsense. So he going back to the UNC. That's your problem. You understand?
Yes.
If you, after all what they did with live sport and all the things you saw up in that area in 2010 to 2015, and you want to go back to the UNC, I said that's your problem. But we, the right-thinking citizens of this country, understand and appreciate what Mr. Young and Dr. Rowley and his team has done for us. Right? So come 2025, we understand the assignment. And I'm going to preach it far and wide. Dominic, thank you for doing such a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Sister Jenny, Juliet, Eric, Brian, the whole host. Let us not give up and let us continue to go out there and do what is necessary and bring home the victory for the PNM come 2025. Thank you so much, Dom.
Thank you. Right, so let me just get this last one, Mr. Yates. 1 sec. Just get this here. This here. Hello, Mr. Yates.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes.
Good. I wonder if on a nice big line somewhere in Oropucho Pinal, lining in the favorite watering hole or by the river, in that Mulilal and his partners lining, they kill about 2-3 duck and a whole goat, and they're lining and drinking. And in the middle of the line, one of the boys, one of the liners, having imbibed a lot, eh? Hey, Rudy boy, hey, yeah, tell me, boy, yeah, tell me how your father raped your mother, boy. And that's how you come to be, that's how you born, boy. That's it, boy. Your father raped your mother and you ain't tell me nothing, boy. And I also hear that you raped your wife and that's how your son was born. So, I wonder if you would see that as a distraction.
or a nasty, stinking insult to his manhood and his decency. That is what he must come out and tell the people of this country. And I will raise that again with you on Tuesday in more detail. I hear your father raped your mother, boy, and that's how you born, and that is a distraction. I hope he takes it as a distraction, eh?
Yes.
I'm not flying to a rage and run for his contract. Then we'll find out about distraction. And then we will get an idea of how Dr. Rowley felt about his parents being scandalized in the nastiest of ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So we leave it there for today, folks. Thank you, as always, for joining me. For those of you who have stayed on, all 432 of you on YouTube and 107 of you on Facebook. So as we say, share the live. BC Gray says, I can only hope that many PNM supporters are listening to this program. They will learn more. Judy Small says, if anyone pretend to support the PNM and come with their personal agenda to get something, and where is this going? And they ain't get what they came for and what to leave, it shows quite clearly what you were really about. So true. Let me see here. Right. Yeah, so again, thank you all. So Tuesday may be a little tentative, folks, because I'm supposed to represent the St. Mary's College Past Students Union at an event on Tuesday. So I'll know for sure tomorrow what the situation with that. But if I'm not, if you don't see me on Tuesday, then that's the issue. If I do come on, it would just be probably till about 8 o'clock or so. Right? Yes, Phyllis. Understand the assignment. Under no circumstances must Persad be set to return as Prime Minister of this country. They have no plan. They don't even have a concept of a plan like Donald Trump. Right? All they have is a set of populist policies that they throw out there and hoping that the people, the so-called oppressed, will latch onto it without considering the implications of that. Right? All these things that they want to give you, but ask them how it's being paid for, they cannot tell you. They will make promises just like the $3,000 pension they promised in 2010 for everybody when they reach age 60, and then come and tell you it was a misprint. So when they promise you the stars, the sun, the moon, and everything else, and then you put them back into office come 2025, and they tell you, well, we weren't aware of the true extent of the country's finances, so we will have to put many of these things that we promised on the back burner because. But for the last 9 years, all they're telling us the treasury broken, that the country in a mess, the economy on the precipice and all of that. So don't come with that nonsense. But they would not have the opportunity to come with that nonsense, right? But to take note, people, that while we focus on Trinidad, we have 2 seats in Tobago that we must defend. And I don't think enough is being said about what's happening in Tobago. All right? I see those who always cussing the PNM now, they're talking about, yes, when we jumping up together, Trinbago, when you're jumping up in the Tobago Carnival and so on. Well, they didn't want Trinidad in that. Well, they want to be Grenada to find out how to run your carnival, and all of a sudden, Trinbago? Really? Nah. Well, they didn't want Trini money. Go and court Grenada. See if it is Grenada could lend all the 2 ferries and bring across some people. Tell them put some money in the coffers of Caribbean Airlines and fly across for the couple of days. This is the most low-key carnival I have ever come across for Tobago. You barely hear anything about it, at least on this side. Right? So all right, let me just take Brian here and then I'll go on. Brian.
Very, very quickly, I just said
sir.
that. Are you aware, within the next 4 days, 30,000 people going across on the ferry to Tobago? 30,000 Trinidadians. It was on the news just a few days ago. That the ferry has indicated that we will be available to carry all of you out to Tobago. That's the ferry alone for the next 4 days. In 4 days, but we broken and we suffering and we hungry and we poor.
And
you
oppressed.
Understand? 30,000 people from tomorrow going across on the ferry. I believe some must have been from today and all. Going to Tobago. But we suffering and we hungry and Rowley don't care about we and we have nothing and we food prices. They must have gone across Tobago to beg. Have a good day.
with that, folks, I bid you adieu. Yes, we will chat in the week. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. As I always say, make it a restful one. Spend time with your family, and we will chat. We will chat on Tuesday. Or if you don't see me Tuesday, we'll chat on Thursday. Right. So look out. That's it for me there.